The rain starts to fall in West London. Chelsea remembers. The last post sounding ahead of kick-off. Manchester City away at Chelsea then. Already an exciting afternoon of football in the Premier League. One that saw West Ham win 3-2 late on over Nottingham Forest. Aston Villa 3-1 winners over Fulham. Liverpool hammered Brentford 3-0 at Anfield. Brighton down to 10 men. Drew 1-1 with Sheffield United. Question is what happens here at Stamford Bridge in the pouring rain now of West London. Chelsea against Manchester City. Phil Brown alongside me. Chelsea want an improvement in home form. Manchester City, who've lost 3 of their last 6 away, want improvement. What gives today?
Well, you're talking about home form. I mean, I couldn't believe it when that stat came out. 1 win in 13. That's unbelievable for a club like Chelsea. Stamford Bridge, as far as I was concerned, was always a fortress. Very, very difficult place to come and play football. But that's one thing that City are going to do, play football.
We are underway with Chelsea beginning proceedings. They are right to left in the first half, attacking the end where the Manchester City fans are housed. In the shed end away to our left-hand side, they get half of that stand. The bottom tier is only small. They get the top tier as well of the 2-tiered stand. Chelsea already on the attack though, out to the right-hand side with Reece James, fires one in low, blocked by Vardiol, and the ball ricochets away up to the touchline on the far side. Manchester City in sky blue, white shorts and sky blue socks. They are left to right, attacking the Matthew Harding end away to our right-hand side. And Chelsea already trying to get on the front foot.
Very impressive from the start. The goalkeeper, a little left-footed pass down the touchline. Kyle Walker missed his challenge on Raheem Sterling. I'm not saying he was trying to come in and make first contact, but he missed his challenge and the ball fell nicely to one of the Chelsea strikers. They're looking positive. They're on the front foot, but it's very, very early days.
Ball with Robert Sanchez, Spanish goalkeeper, spent the 2019-20 season on loan at Rochdale. £25 million signing in the summer from Brighton, and he sends it long, right footed to the halfway line. Reece James playing an inverted role, beats Vardiol to the ball. Here's Cucurella, a one-time Manchester City target, but they stopped when the price got too high. Gallagher flick from behind from Nicholas Jackson. Raheem Sterling goes on the chase. Kyle Walker had the pace to beat his former teammate to the ball. Ruben Diaz on the right-hand side. Walker gets it on the chest control. Back to Edison it goes. Nicholas Jackson will put him under pressure, and he has to fire it out to the left-hand side instantaneously. Joško Vardiol's out there.
Amazing, isn't it, the risks that you take, but they're not risks when you have the quality of Edison. Just under pressure, volleyed ball back to him by Kyle Walker with a bit of pace in his own 6-yard box. Cool as they come. Fantastic play.
Haaland looks to pounce in there. Only 2 clubs has he ever played 3 games against, or 2 games against and not scored. They are Chelsea and Real Madrid.
Wow.
He might try and change the Chelsea record today. Both of these sides top the average possession charts. It's Chelsea with the early advantage. City averaging just over 63% in the Premier League this season. Chelsea just under 62%. Akanji with the header on the edge of the centre circle. Might be space here for Doku to latch onto the loose ball, which he does now. Right-footed, brings it in field. Alvarez clips it up out towards Bernardo Silva on the left-hand side. The 2 number 20s battling hard on that far side of the field. Cole Palmer, who will have played in training with Bernardo Silva a fair few times, knows what he's all about. He gets the better of the Portuguese midfielder in this sense, and it's a goal kick to Chelsea.
It's almost like the human beings. Doku fired a ball in Alvarez, and like a normal player, he had a pass in his brain, and instead of taking it in with him, and he could have turned and had a little strike on goal 20 yards away, he played the first pass that was on his brain, and it was the wrong ball.
Julian Alvarez, who's scored 3 in 3 against Chelsea. All 3 though have been at the Etihad Stadium. Cucurella down the left-hand side, flicks it behind him. Nice little turn up against Rodri. Enzo Fernandez, the Argentine, takes over and goes past the Spaniard with a little bit of ease. Here's Cucurella infield from the left-hand side. Raheem Sterling trying to squeeze it through a gap of 3 or 4 Manchester City players. We've played 3 minutes. It is 0-0. Manchester City have a free kick here as Foden is down, but it's Chelsea who are on top.
First little chat from the manager to Erling Haaland. Now, whether he's telling him to stretch the game or what, I've no idea, but it looks like it's a tactical change. It'll be going into one of the, what do you call, the commanders that are on the field of play that can take in information, but he's already passing that information on to Alvarez. For me, it could be a change of position of Alvarez. I don't know.
What has Pep Guardiola spotted so early on? Palmer on the chest control, far right-hand side. Vardiol just allows that to guide over the touchline.
That's so well said, mate. You know, so early on, you're only 2-3 minutes into the game, and all of a sudden he's looking at something tactical. Now, I'm looking at the shape of the midfield three of Manchester City, and by far, Bernardo Silva's playing in a lot more advanced role than what Kovacic will be playing.
Kovacic on the bench today, the Champions League winner with Chelsea in 2021 when they beat Manchester City. Moved in the summer for £25 million as Enzo Fernandez is down on the centre circle. Referees allow play on to go here. Manchester City a little bit statuesque there as Sterling finds Cucurella. Foden gets across to cover. It's behind for the first corner of the game. It's a Chelsea corner. It's Phil Foden racing back to defend.
Mike, it has to be said, it's a great start from Chelsea. You know, we watched the game a week ago at home to Bournemouth. Manchester City was one-way traffic, but at the moment they're in a game today.
Corner on this left-hand side to Chelsea, which Cole Palmer will take. He raises two hands in the air, then it's a left-footed out-swinging delivery to the edge of the 6-yard box, and an easy take for Edison. And Manchester City here will try and slow things down a little bit. I say that Edison's thrown it over arm, almost if he was taking a throw in himself, and has given it to Bernardo Silva, who gets up to the halfway line. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 0. We've played 5 minutes, and here's Ruben Dias two-step up to the halfway line for City. Rodri just drops into a pocket of space inside the Chelsea half, central position. Foden rolls it in on the right hand side for Alvarez, looks up straight away for Erling Haaland. Ball takes a deflection, and that allows Moises Caicedo, record signing in the Premier League, to get hold of the ball. Here he is again, centre circle. Raheem Sterling on the front foot. I told you he had a point to prove, and he goes forward to the right corner of the penalty area, in towards Jackson, who tries to backheel it towards Sterling on the 1-2. And Chelsea's attack breaks down, and as Doku is fouled just outside his own penalty area, Manchester City get the advantage to the referee and can get to the midway point of the Chelsea half. Bernardo Silva.
We don't want to be mentioning the referee too many times, but that was fantastic advantage. It gives City an opportunity to take the momentum into the opponent's half.
Foden on the right corner of the penalty area, steps in, left-footed, will wait for the overlap to come to Kyle Walker towards the byline, fires one in low, comes off Cucurella, and it will be a Manchester City corner. A little question of a double deflection there, back off Walker, but the linesman closest to it gives City the chance on this near side.
Mike, what lucky boys we are. This is one hell of a game already. 5-6 minutes into the game. You don't know which way it's going to go. I mean, 1 minute we're looking to the right hand side and City on the attack. The next minute it's the other way and Chelsea on the attack. What a game.
If they kept this up for 90 minutes, we'd be delighted. We'd be knackered, but we'd be delighted. It is Alvarez with the corner on the right hand side for Manchester City before he takes that. Referee Anthony Taylor just got a little bit of pushing and shoving to sort out between Moises Caicedo and Erling Haaland. So Alvarez resets himself, backs away towards the advertising boards on this near side. Again, another pause in play. Now the referee walks over to Robert Sanchez, and Ruben Dias there is standing on the foot, I think, of Disasi. And they're both just trying to get one up on each other. Right, corner goes in from Alvarez, low towards the near post, away by Cole Palmer. It might drop to Phil Foden on the edge of the box. It doesn't. Doku tries to seize control of the ball. Raheem Sterling in close proximity is the one who has the advantage. And then he sets Nicholas Jackson off down the left-hand side. He will try and skip past Walker on the cut in field. Walker's wise to it. Ball with Edison on the edge of his 6-yard box. Here's Akanji. Here's Walker.
I'd just like to say to Nicholas Jackson, you need to do your homework. He was in a one-on-one there with Kyle Walker, and he decides to put the ball in behind him himself and have a little race. He'd not be doing that again in the 90 minutes.
He certainly won't. Kyle Walker, who likes the phrase to say he's 33 years young, not 33 years old, has still got plenty in the tank when it comes to pace. Mauricio Pochettino out of his chair for the first time this afternoon.
Mike, the other part was the first corner to Manchester City. If we witnessed 13, 14 corners against Bournemouth, not one of them went straight in the box. Everyone was worked short. That one went straight in the penalty box, which tells you something.
He didn't get it anywhere near perhaps possible targets of the likes of Erling Haaland, Rodri and Ruben Dias. Here's Manuel Akanji on the halfway line collecting the ball. Jackson keeps the press on, but Akanji rolls it back to Edison as Pochettino sits down in his seat. Pochettino He's one of 2 managers to win a competitive game against Pep Guardiola with more than 2 clubs. He did it with Espanyol, Spurs and PSG as he goes in search of club number 4 with Chelsea. The other manager who's able to do that against Pep Guardiola is one Jose Mourinho. Inter Milan, Real Madrid, Manchester United and Tottenham. Edison, long, flat ball over the top, looking for Phil Foden, who stretched out a leg over his shoulder. The ball went over the touchline. The ball went throw into Chelsea near side.
It's such a privileged position where we are. We're right behind the 2 coaches, and yes, after a couple of minutes we witnessed, Pep Guardiola dragging his big striker across Erling Haaland to get some kind of message onto Alvarez. What that message is at the moment, I'm not quite sure. But it looked as if it looked a little bit more direct from the goalkeeper, maybe into one of the front 3, whether that be Phil Foden, whether that be Doku, or whether that be Erling Haaland himself.
It won't be the first time in the last couple of seasons Pep Guardiola spotted a long ball is on to an attacker, as Chelsea on the byline are playing themselves out of danger here. Walker, though, the press is so high and quick from both sides. Soon as one gets hold of the ball, Phil Foden sees the ball over the touchline. It's another Manchester City throw-in near side the right, level with the corner of the penalty area. Kyle Walker with the ball in his hands needs an outlet, only Phil Foden close to him. Alvarez keeps running towards him and then back again as Walker throws it into the box. Foden brings that down well over his shoulder. Here's Vardiol, 30 yards from the Chelsea goal, gives it to Doku. Doku now moves into the box, darts in field, needs an outlet, looks for Foden, and it's away by Enzo Fernandez. Jackson's on the chase. Manuel Akanji should see that. Back to Edison. He's played a pacey ball with a little bounce on it, but the Brazilian goalkeeper is able to deal with it. Manchester City start again.
I love it, a pacey ball. It was a fantastic pass, wasn't it, to a goalkeeper who can handle the ball probably better than most midfield players.
0-0, 10 minutes played. That's the voice of Phil Brown, the former Bolton man, former Premier League manager, on BBC Radio Manchester's Total Sport. Available anywhere in the UK this afternoon on BBC Sounds. So if you're heading out and about, if you're about to leave the Manchester region, you can take us with you so you won't miss a moment. Here is Ruben Diaz, Manchester City with their sky blue shirts on. Chelsea in the darker blue outfits, their traditional home kit, of course, shirts and shorts to match with the white socks. Both teams wearing poppies on their chest as well on this Remembrance Sunday. It's Edison, long again to the right hand side. Ruben Diaz has peeled away to this near side. He's a centre back playing right winger in that sense. Over him though, ball's out of play, Chelsea throw in.
The interchange of the back four was unbelievable. You had Diaz playing right wing, you had Kyle Walker was playing centre half. I think Akanji had bopped into midfield there for a small moment, and your second centre half was the goalkeeper. The movement and the interchange of position is quite phenomenal.
Enzo Fernandez back to Robert Sanchez. We were talking about it in the press room a little bit earlier, watching Ted Lasso at the moment. There's a scene where he gets his players to play in each other's positions so they can understand the roles of different players, and perhaps we saw it a little bit there with Ruben Diaz. Here's Palmer racing away down the right hand side. Cole Palmer with the shot that hits Manuel Akanji, who's first to react. It comes back to Palmer, lays it to the D. Gallagher tries to chip it into the penalty area for the continuing run of Cole Palmer, and then Rodri with a risky header up in the air gave Edison plenty of time to make the call to come and catch it, but had he got it wrong, there were a couple of Chelsea players ready to try and pounce on it. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 0.
I know we're in a privileged position. We can see the game from up above. We can see it on the cameras everywhere, but I thought Cole Palmer made a wrong decision there. He should have been pulling that ball back to Gallagher on the edge of the box a little bit earlier than what he did. It's that decision making in the final third. If they get it right, Chelsea, they'll cause City problems.
6 goals in 41 games for Manchester City. Cole Palmer can this afternoon become just the second player to score for and against a Pep Guardiola side. As it's lifted over the top by Akanji, Foden just lets the ball skip ahead of him onto the right hand side with a little deft touch to take it away from Cucurella. Here's Walker, here's Akanji, and back to Diaz on the halfway line. That player, incidentally, who scored for and against the Pep Guardiola side is Kelechi Iheanacho for Manchester City and Leicester. Good looking if you got that one right, well done. It's a useful pub quiz question to add. Joško Vardiol can do it, by the way. He scored against City last season for Leipzig. If he does score for Manchester City today or any future game, he'll become the second player as well. Sterling can also do it. Plenty there to make history this afternoon. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 0. We've played 13 minutes.
There's a lovely noticeable battle going on here. Cucurella's certainly putting in Phil Foden from a physical point of view. I know they're only two little fellas, but he's let him have one. He's let him know, shall we say, that I'm around as a fullback. I may be a little fella, but I'm going to let you know that you're in for a battle. It'd be interesting to see how Phil Foden reacts to that.
Are you proud of that as a fullback?
100%. Goalkeepers union, fullbacks union, whatever it is. I'm a defender first and foremost, but I do like to see quality play, and that's what you'll get today for sure.
Absolutely. Phil Foden just stands in a bit of space on the right-hand side as the Chelsea fans find their voice. 0-0 at Stamford Bridge after 13.5 minutes on BBC Radio Manchester. Doku brings the ball down out of the air from the left-hand side. Long floated ball over towards him on that far side. Bernardo Silva back to the halfway line where he finds Joško Vardiol. And here is Ruben Diaz on the halfway line. Akanji just has a little 10 yards in front of him to run up to, which he does, and then finds Jeremy Doku, who closes in again on the penalty area. Takes it to the byline, low ball into the 6-yard box, away by Axel Disasi rather, and it's a Manchester City throw-in, 10 yards from the byline on the far side.
That's the other side, you know, the battle between Doku and Reece James, and Reece James looks like, the way he's running, he's encouraging him to go down the outside of him. That means to say to me that he knows, he's confident that he's quick enough to be able to run Doku, and I'd love to see it over a distance as opposed to a shorter one.
Only his 5th Premier League appearance this season, Reece James. A bit of an injury after August, which he's recovered from. Here's Akanji forward, tripped by the legs of Conor Gallagher on his heels as he went past the England international in the latest England squad, Conor Gallagher. And the free kick to Manchester City, just away from the centre circle on the left-hand side.
Akanji's definitely doing the Stones role, you know, stepping in from centre-half. He's going into midfield. He looks quite comfortable at it. Not as good as Stones, will I suggest, but, you know, Stones, is, as we've made reference to, he's been with Pep Guardiola for 8 years. He knows exactly what the man wants. Akanji, just learning on the job.
Second season at Manchester City for Manuel Akanji after his move from Dortmund last campaign. City go short from the free kick, out to the far side, the left, with Joško Vardiol. Back into the middle of the Chelsea half in a central position for Ruben Diaz. Here's Walker, lovely disguised pass into Rodri, who can have a look at the penalty area, gives it to Alvarez, angle is tight, shot comes in from the right of the penalty area, hits Cucurella and goes behind for a Manchester City corner.
Very promising. It was a free kick from a distance. I would have thought it was going to go into the box. Erling Haaland would have been disappointed that it didn't come into the box, but when you're City, you can work the ball the way they work it, and they've worked it down the right hand side. They've got another corner.
Alvarez again on set piece duties for Manchester City. Foden 10 yards away from him down the right hand touchline. Alvarez raises a left arm in the air. He starts his jog up towards the ball. Outswing delivery blasted to the rear of the penalty area. Vardiol's headed down. He's straight at Sanchez on his goal line. That came really from nowhere. That was a little ghost move from Joško Vardiol. Nearly paid off. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 0.
It was a ghost move. He was right on the far side of the penalty box, right on the touchline. He looked like he wasn't interested. Then he wheeled his run round to the edge of the box, and it was spotted by the corner taker, and when it came in, he had a free header from about 10 yards, but his body was actually going away from the goal, so he couldn't get that kind of power that was required to trouble a goalkeeper.
Disasi back to his goalkeeper, Robert Sanchez, as Chelsea play out from the back. It's scooped up by Robert Sanchez and straight out of play for a Manchester City throw-in on this near side. Cheaply given away by Chelsea. The fast start, the electric pace we had at the beginning, the high presses have slowed down a little bit. Manchester City, Phil Brown, asserting a little bit more control.
A little bit more control. We're looking to the right-hand side goal a little bit more than what we were in the first 5-10 minutes. You're only talking about 16-17 minutes. They've just had a look at each other, and at the moment City are quite happy with the way it's going.
Walker throws it towards Haaland, who's in a central position. It was a good range throw from Walker. Alvarez has it now, but easily challenged by Chelsea, as no Manchester City player offered their support enough there to convince Alvarez to pass it. As James goes long, Palmer brings it down on the outside of his left boot, then sends it forward down the touchline for Nicholas Jackson. Akanji across the cover. Chelsea have a throw-in.
A little bit more decisive with his pass, Cole Palmer there, and it would have been a better ball into a striker who could have been causing City a little bit of a problem, but they were playing counter-attacking football because we were watching Man City attacking the opposite goal.
Still goalless after 18 minutes. Sterling in from the left, plays a 1-2 with Conor Gallagher, now down the line against Cucurella into his own half to use Thiago Silva, 39 years old now, the Brazilian centre-back, most definitely one of the most experienced players in the squad, probably on the pitch actually. Here's Palmer probably in the Premier League rather. Here's Reece James, forward to the right corner of the penalty area, gets it to Enzo Fernandez, who bends one in early, easy away for Akanji as Gallagher launches one on the volley from 20 yards out, but it was straight down the throat of Edison, save for the goalkeeper. It was worrying for a moment, 0-0.
I know you were talking about Thiago Silva, and we have to take our hats off to him. 39-year-old, what a great credit to the game he is. He's just played a diagonal ball to the far side to Reece James and a little bit into play, caused City a little bit of problem, and a shot from 20-25 yards by Gallagher. First little chance on target.
Caught it well enough. Conor Gallagher would have most definitely been a contender for goal of the month, if not goal of the season, had it gone in. Set himself up, flicked it up in front of him, and then volleyed it towards Edison's goal. But for now, Manchester City survive. City keep a clean sheet for now as they look to keep consecutive Premier League away clean sheets for the first time since February to April 2022, when they kept 5 of them in a row. It's not been the best record on the road for Manchester City. That said, they still won the Premier League, so maybe we shouldn't criticise too much. They're looking to avoid losing back-to-back games in London since 2020, when they lost to Spurs and Chelsea. The last time they were in the capital was to face Arsenal. They lost that game earlier this season as well. Chelsea try and get away down the far side there, right. Vardiol, the left back of Manchester City, steps across, easy interception. Edison just on the edge of his D, under a little bit of pressure, gives it to Diaz on the right hand side. Sterling takes over. Jackson tries to get in position as Sterling rolls it behind Nicholas Jackson, and Manchester City with Rodri can see their way clear, or maybe not. Rodri's hit it off the back of a Chelsea player. Palmer can't bring it down. Vardiol and Bernardo Silva tidy it up. A little bit worrying that for Manchester City.
It's a little bit worrying for Chelsea at the moment. I've got to say, Conor Gallagher smashed into a Chelsea player there, and he's fell awkwardly. He looks in a bad way.
Manchester City aren't for stopping the play for now. Gallagher's at the other end of the field. City away to our right hand side on the attack. 2 physios treating Gallagher. Doku uses Bernardo Silva out wide. He stands it up into the middle. It's headed off Reece James, but it'll drop back into the penalty area. 2 Chelsea players go for it and are down, and Manchester City with Bernardo Silva send it into the box. It's headed behind. Corner kick. Well, Anthony Taylor saw that as Chelsea on Chelsea and nothing else in between. The fact that they injured themselves was inconsequential, and Manchester City have a corner here, and Cucurella has gone into the book for protesting against Anthony Taylor.
It's a penalty, mate.
Is he given the penalty?
He's given the penalty. That's what he's protesting against. And I tell you, when it came into the far side, I really thought that he was fouling. Cucurella was fouling. He was all over Haaland. But it was the fact that City were playing on and Chelsea were down to 8 men at the time. You can see at the far post, there's a little tug, and he's gone down. Erling Haaland, he's given a penalty. And if it had gone to VAR, it probably would have confirmed it.
Well, VAR will, of course, be checking this. Jared Gillett is the VAR official, assisted by Darren Cann. It is the pull then as the cross comes in from the left-hand side. Cucurella pulls Haaland down. Haaland dives for the header, still gets a connection on it, I think, but it's a huge tug between the Norwegian and the Spaniard of Chelsea. And the referee has given Manchester City a penalty for the foul of Cucurella on Haaland. Loads to dissect in that, from Conor Gallagher's injury down here, which left Chelsea a player short. 2 players then challenge a ball in the penalty area and go down. Manchester City play on, and Cucurella pulls down Erling Haaland. VAR is checking this. Phil Brown.
Where would you stand on VAR when they say when 2 players went down with a head injury, the referee could have actually stopped the game if he wanted to, but that wasn't to be the case. 2 Chelsea players, and it was within the incident. You know, one pass, ball goes into the penalty box, Erling Haaland's foul. It's literally seconds after the clash of heads, and it's not really a clash of heads. We just witnessed that. It's just 2 players going to ground.
Well, one of the replays they're checking is whether Jeremy Doku is an offender within those 2 Chelsea players colliding together, and then they've got the aftermath of Erling Haaland. Well, Chelsea had enough controversy with VAR on Monday night in the win over Spurs. They might have thought today's game would be a little bit calmer, as You're Not Fit to Referee rings around Stamford Bridge from the fans. Big decision to make here, and Anthony Taylor is surrounded by a host of Chelsea players, including Reece James, including Cole Palmer. Big decisions for VAR to make here, Phil Brown. Any doubt in your mind that this isn't a penalty to Manchester City?
What I'm going to say is it was a foul without a shadow of a doubt. I know what fullbacks look like when they're struggling at the back post, and Cucurella was inches. Obviously, he's conceding inches to Erling Haaland, and because of that, he definitely manhandled him. If there's a sporting incident where Chelsea were down to 8 men. Could they have kicked the ball out of play? Well, at that moment in time I would have said no. They were on the attack. There was a clash of two players coming together, two on the ground in the penalty area, one in the far end. For me, it's a penalty.
And penalty has been given. No need for Anthony Taylor to come over to this near side to use the VAR screen. So Erling Haaland will have the chance from 12 yards, just like he did in Manchester City's last away game at Old Trafford, to give Manchester City the lead. This one away to our right-hand side in front of the Chelsea fans that will try their best to put him off. We witnessed a poor penalty yesterday, Phil Brown, with Stephen Humphries against Chelsea. Erling Haaland places the ball down on the spot. Robert Sanchez tries to make himself as big as possible. The Norwegian has never gone 3 games against a single opponent without scoring. Pressure on. Erling Haaland away to our right-hand side, who places the ball down, 2 strides away, runs up to it, scores, and Manchester City lead at Stamford Bridge. Erling Haaland on the score sheet yet again. 2 games without a goal against Chelsea. He's made sure it's not 3. Into the bottom left-hand corner. Sanchez goes the wrong way. It's Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1.
As opposed to yesterday's penalty doubt, today no doubt whatsoever. When that man's got the ball in his hands, he's putting it on a penalty spot. You expect one thing and one thing only, for it to burst the net. The one thing I will say about Pochettino there, he talked non-stop in his press conference about the emotional control that Chelsea players showed against Spurs on Monday night. His team now need to show a lot of control, both on and off the ball. They've got to be able to control themselves, because they're a goal down and this could get worse.
Well, Chelsea had the comeback on Monday night eventually against 9-man Spurs. Manchester City had their full complement of players here. Pep Guardiola's had a big talking to with Ruben Diaz whilst those goal celebrations were going on.
The thing about Cucurella, you know, if you have a look at it, he's got to have a look at his skip. I mean, Thiago is there and he's going to head the ball out in the 6-yard box. He's beaten Erling Haaland to the ball, there's no doubt about it. And Cucurella decides to manhandle Erling Haaland. It was a poor decision by the young fullback.
On reflection of the first 25 minutes, Phil Brown, is that scoreline fair?
You knew the chances were going to come in the first 15-20 minutes. I thought Chelsea handled the start of the game very, very well. In fact, they looked the better team in the first 10-15 minutes. But the controversy continues in the game where VAR is concerned. As far as I was concerned, it was a penalty. End of story.
Well, they've meant plenty to talk about at half-time. Get your views in, by the way. 08000 321 333 on WhatsApp. Just start your message with the word Mank and have your say, or tweet us, or now X's, whatever you call it these days, at BBC RM Sport. 08000 321 333, that WhatsApp number again if you need it. Just make sure you start the message with the word Mank and it'll reach us and we'll read your points of view to Phil Brown at half-time. Plenty to dissect. Manchester City played on with Conor Gallagher stricken down this near side touchline, got up the other end. Doku involved, but 2 Chelsea players collided before Cucurella pulled down Erling Haaland in the box. Got a yellow card. Manchester City dispatched the penalty. Here's Sterling left hand side. Gallagher gets in on his right foot. Has already had one mean shot in this game. Lays it back. Snapshot comes in from Caicedo, blocked by the Manchester City defence on the 18-yard box. Chelsea far side the right with Palmer in on his left boot. Needs an outlet. That might only be to Cucurella. No, has stroked it into the edge of the D for Enzo Fernandez. Gallagher. Enzo Fernandez goes down. Referee waits for the advantage. Gives Chelsea a free kick in a dangerous position. Left of the D. 25 yards out. Shooting opportunity.
Good decision by Anthony Taylor. And I think, honestly, it's got to be said, you know, you can say the Chelsea fans are going to be aggrieved by the situation with the 1-0 down. It was poor defensive play from the fullback at the back post area. Erling Haaland's going to be a nuisance at the far post, and Cucurella had to deal with it better. That decision there, that's a sign that he's actually still well in control of this game, and it was the right decision. He's allowed 3 or 4 seconds play. He knows it's a free kick decision, and he knows it's in a dangerous area for Chelsea. It looks like Reece James is going to take a free kick that's going to work the goalkeeper.
It was Rodri late on his arrival into the back of Enzo Fernandez to win that free kick for Chelsea. So Reece James, Marc Cucurella, Thiago Silva all in and around the ball. You would fancy Reece James for this. Bernardo Silva was acting as a draft excluder. Edison has told him to get up, mark a man. It's a 3-man Manchester City wall of Haaland, Diaz and Rodri. 2 Chelsea players just stand to the right of that wall to block perhaps Edison's view. Referee blows his whistle. It's Reece James. Oh, what a save. Edison parries it over the bar behind it. goes for a corner, and the Manchester City players rush over to celebrate with their goalkeeper. It's a big save for the Manchester City. They still lead 1-0.
Massive save considering they've just gone 1-0 up in controversial circumstances. Yes, they're going to be, I would have suggested the Chelsea fans are going to be at Manchester City all game, but that's par for the course. But what a great save. He had to use all his agility to get to the top corner.
Corner far side then to Chelsea, who trail Manchester City by a goal to nil. Gallagher out swinging delivery. Oh, he's poked it in. Chelsea have equalised. Enzo Fernandez rushes over to the far side to celebrate. It was a low whipped in ball that caught the defence napping, and Chelsea have seen it home. Instant response from the home side. Chelsea 1, Manchester City 1.
What a game we've got on our hands here, mate. We made a complaint about a little bit of quality yesterday, but my word, having been involved in this for 26 minutes, the quality is there for everybody to see. And my word, it's finally poised now. Man City were never going to have it all their own way after that transgression, if you like, of a decision that went against the home team, and the response by Chelsea has been emphatic. 1-1.
Corner came in, header comes in. It's Thiago Silva, I think, who gets there. 39 years old. He raced ahead of everybody, ages but a number, and guides it into the far corner from where the corner came in from. And Chelsea have themselves an equaliser. It's as you were.
Mate, what a captain he is. You mentioned 39. 39 is absolutely just a number. It's an absolutely fantastically worked goal. You've got to be brave. You've got to know what you're doing when you go into somebody's 6-yard box, and that's exactly what Thiago Silva's just done.
Chelsea, who for the first time in 6 games score against Manchester City. They've played 6 since the Champions League final, lost all 6, conceded 10, scored none. Well, in this game, Manchester City might have scored their 11th in the 7th match, but Chelsea have finally found a route past Ederson. Manchester City won all 4 against Chelsea last season. It's in jeopardy once again. 1-1 the score at Stamford Bridge. We've played half an hour, and now a long ball forward to the corner flag on this near side for Erling Haaland, who's got some work to do against Cucurella. Pushes him in the back. Haaland wants a corner. It doesn't come as the ball bounces on the byline, and Chelsea are able to see it clear. A real fighting atmosphere here at Stamford Bridge.
Brilliant atmosphere. You wouldn't want to be anywhere else, would you? What a place to be on a Sunday afternoon.
Not at all. Absolutely agree with Phil Brown, the former Bolton player and assistant on BBC Radio Manchester, as Sterling tries to get down the left-hand side. Sliding challenge comes in from Ruben Diaz. Rodri sees it to Alvarez. Foden on the halfway line will try and step in field. And Enzo Fernandez makes the challenge and punches his fist low in the air as if he scored a goal himself.
Phil Foden's got to step up to the plate, and I'm not saying he's not a good player by any stretch of the imagination, but the physicality that Cucurella, of all people, is putting on him, he looks like he's gone under a wee bit. He's got to get on the ball a little bit more often, or he'll be sitting beside Pep Guardiola at half-time.
1-1 at Stamford Bridge. What a game it has been so far. Everything perhaps we hoped it would be. Manchester City in front for the spot of Erling Haaland's kick, and Chelsea levelling moments later through their most aged player, Thiago Silva. Here is Rodri. Alvarez inside the centre circle. Manchester City in sky blue from left to right. Chelsea in royal blue from right to left. Now Foden takes on Cucurella down the right hand side, gets the better of him, nutmegs Thiago Silva, goes to the byline, puts a cross in. Haaland stretching and into the side netting. Well, Sanchez flapped it in and didn't get there. It left Haaland free at the back post, but he couldn't send it home. Goal kick.
That's exactly what the manager wants to see from Phil Foden. He absolutely got a jack in the box. He got away from 3 players there, outstanding, and crossed the ball on his weak foot, on his right foot, to the back post, and it was probably just too tight an angle for Erling Haaland, who put it into the side netting. What an opportunity.
It's as if Phil Foden heard you, Phil Brown.
It would have been nice if he did, because it's exactly what the manager, he's right on the touchline beside the manager, and I'm telling you, Pep Guardiola will have been in his ear more than me by a long way last year. He just got to see a response.
We are close to the dugouts. I remember in COVID, the bench turned round at one point during commentary. They could hear us, the loud Chelsea crowd drowning us out, perhaps to stop that happening this year. 32 minutes in, Chelsea 1, Manchester City 1. Here's Rodri on the left-hand side of the centre circle, finds Joško Vardiol. Bit of a slower pace for now. We've had a frantic 10 minutes or so since the penalty. Doku, though, might have other ideas. Puts on the afterburners, gives it to Bernardo Silva in the left-hand side of the penalty area. Sliding challenge comes in, Reece James throwing to Manchester City on the far side.
It's almost for a minute we forgot Doku was playing, and he was outstanding in the previous league game against Bournemouth. We forgot he was playing. Reece James is doing a decent job at him, but you're looking at all the fullbacks and see who's being tested by the opposition's, the wide players, the good wide players. I think the best battle that we've got going on here is, for me, Cucurella and Phil Foden.
Here is Foden, knocks it down backwards though, away from the Chelsea penalty area. Kyle Walker, who under a little bit of pressure from Nicholas Jackson, the Senegalese international, gives it to Ederson. Now Ruben Diaz back up towards the halfway line. Chelsea 1, Manchester City 1. We are 11 minutes away from half-time. Scooped up by Diaz out towards the far side. Doku challenged by James. Ball flies up into the air, stays in play though. Palmer is involved there, as is Caicedo. Lovely bit of footwork from Rodri to take it away, and Rodri wanders up to the edge of the D. Foden in the box, gets on his left foot, bending shot. Oh, would have been a great goal from Phil Foden, who clasps his hands on the back of his head. It had the press box saying, oh, it had Phil Brown nearly out of his seat, just wide at the far post, the left-hand frame of the goal.
Mate, that's inches. That's absolutely inches. And when you witness less than a minute ago, he's took Cucurella down to the touchline and crossed the ball to the far post with his right foot, and that's the difference that we're talking about. That's the kind of play that fullbacks really struggle against, when they can go right and left. And Phil Foden's cut on his left foot, missed the far post by inches.
Guided it between two Chelsea defenders. He's got the bit between his teeth in the last few moments. Phil Foden has come close on a couple of occasions to assisting one and scoring one. This one runs to the right-hand side of the penalty area, and Foden's got space in between the box and touchline. What a pulsating game this is. He lays it square to Rodri, doesn't think about the shot, stands it up instead to Doku, who will bring it down with his left shin, gets it on his right foot, just trying to wriggle away from a couple of Chelsea players, and loses the possession inside the penalty area in the end. Fair challenge from Chelsea, out for a throw-in on the far side to the home side.
Doku's getting no change out of Reece James whatsoever. Lovely ball by Rodri in behind Reece James. Reece James is a fullback. I know what it's all about. When the ball goes over your head, you're just hoping that he stepped offside, but he hadn't. Controlled the ball, came back onto his stronger foot, but Reece James is on top of the winger.
Chelsea, who have a little bit of form, they've won 3 of their last 5 in the Premier League after only winning 2 of their previous 18 before that. They need a good home performance. They have got it so far, you have to say, in this game. They've won just 1 of their last 13 home Premier League games. That was a 3-0 win over Luton in August, a side they would have been expected to beat. 1-1 here though, with just under 10 minutes to half-time. It's a Manchester City throw on the halfway line, near side the right. Kyle Walker has it in his hands, just needs an outlet, uses Manuel Akanji, who waits for the ball to bounce a couple of times towards him. He sends it up in the air. Erling Haaland was coming in from an offside position. Haaland wanted Foden to be running after that as well. Ball with Robert Sanchez, the Chelsea goalkeeper, away to our right-hand side.
Mike, I'll go back to Pochettino. The way he talked about emotional control, it's so important in a big game, and it's so important in the game of football, full stop. His team have actually showed that since they conceded a controversial goal. His team have showed amazing control.
Here's Palmer as Chelsea go forward again, uses the overlap of Reece James. He's into the penalty area, puts it right across. Chelsea have scored. It's the former Manchester City man, Raheem Sterling, with the goal. Celebrates with his teammates in front of the Manchester City fans, just to rub salt into the wounds. Low ball in right-hand side. Sterling taps home. Once upon a time, he used to do that for the Blues of Manchester. Yep. Now he's doing it for the Blues of Chelsea. Chelsea lead, Chelsea 2, Manchester City 1.
Mate, you don't often get mistakes of that magnitude, but Guardiola's completely mistimed any kind of interception from a ball that was played inside him. Reece James has got to the byline and rolled a tap in across the penalty box, and you're absolutely delighted for the player who's now playing for another club. You want to see him have some effect on the game, but at the detriment of Man City at the moment. You're talking about a great goal from their perspective, 1-0 down to 2-1 up. Fantastic response by Chelsea.
Pochettino, who wanted them to build on the 4-1 win over Spurs, has got that here, and the Chelsea flags fly high on the far side. The 3-tiered stand opposite us here in our letterbox view. The low roof provides us with a very thin view of the pitch. The ball goes too far up in the air. We can't see it. What we can see is Raheem Sterling's given Chelsea a 2-1 lead. Here's Walker, right-hand side for Manchester City, who now have to find a response. Chelsea, the opponents, along with Liverpool, that Guardiola's lost most competitive matches against as a manager, 8 each. Right now, Chelsea with this scoreline heading for a 9th.
I suggest today we're going to see the best of Manchester City, because we need to see the best of Manchester City. Chelsea have got to see it, an outstanding response.
Big game. Bernardo loves these kind of moments, these fighting games. Gets hold of the ball, gives it to Alvarez. Haaland was waiting in the 6-yard box, but Chelsea, through Disasi, decisive, have sent it away, throwing on this near side.
Good defending by Chelsea there. Bodies on the lane in that 6-yard box. It was good play down the outside again. Alvarez and Phil Foden, and you want to see Erling Haaland throwing everything at that in a 6-yard box. But good defending by Chelsea.
We're into the 39th minute. He has absolutely flown by at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 2, Manchester City 1. Chelsea, who failed to score in their last 6 against Manchester City, now have 2 in a single game. Manchester City, who've lost 3 of their last 6 on the road, now need to find a way to get back to winning ways here at the Bridge. Walker on the right-hand side, steps in field up against Sterling, claims a handball against Walker, and that's what the referee saw, as well as the Chelsea fans. It is a free kick to Chelsea, deep inside their own half, left-back position, which Marc Cucurella will take. Manchester City's away form I mentioned there, that's in contrast to their home form, where they're on a 23-match winning streak. Chelsea have really struggled to buy a win at home in 2023. Manchester City would have come here with a little bit of hope. Chelsea have dashed that so far. Phil Brown.
Well, you're talking about the challenges that are out there. We've almost forgotten about the English challenge of Sterling against Walker, and at the moment, you know, when you go in at half-time and you've scored a goal, you've got to say you're winning that battle, and Raheem Sterling's winning that battle.
Chelsea could be off again here on the right-hand side as Reece James bursts forward, 3-on-3, and Conor Gallagher is trying to add to the numbers. Here is Sterling. Walker with a brilliant sliding challenge, goes back to Fernandes, deflection. Ederson had committed, gets away with that. The deflection takes it away from goal. Nervy moments here at the Bridge for Manchester City, who are 2-1 down against Chelsea. 5 minutes to half-time. Walker clears it away. Big moment from him a moment ago to stop Raheem Sterling going in on goal again. Here's James. Oh, he's missed the ball, but he'll have time to recover. And back it goes to Axel Disasi, the Chelsea centre-back.
Pep Guardiola was in the touchline there. He went to sit back down. He looked a little bit, not shell-shocked by any stretch of the imagination, but he knows he's in a battle today. He's got his work cut out at half-time as Pep Guardiola, and that'll be a rarity in his notebook.
Here's Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea leading, go down the left-hand side. Cucurella with space over the halfway line. Kyle Walker looked to some of these other sky blue shirted players and asked where they were then. Sterling in on the left-hand side. Walker backpedaling all the time. Sterling goes for those curling shots. He was also synonymous for in his time at City. In on the left, got it on his right boot. Bends well wide, goal kick.
You've got to say it, the wingers have got the bit between their teeth. And I'm not talking about just Man City wingers, all wingers on the field of play. It looks like the wingers are here to play, and fullbacks have got to step up to the plate. But what a game we've got here.
I can only echo that, Phil Brown. It's tiring for us. These players are living every moment as well. Chelsea 2, Manchester City 1 with 4 minutes to half-time. Ederson just strolls away from his 18-yard box, almost at the midway point of the Manchester City half, before square passing it to Ruben Diaz. But Alvarez has been caught out this time, and Chelsea forward again. Jackson can't squeeze it on through for Conor Gallagher, and Manchester City survive with the block as Walker. Maybe now Manchester City can get themselves on the attack too, with Bernardo Silva looking for Haaland. Haaland in the penalty area. Haaland saved by Sanchez. Brilliant low save from the Chelsea goalkeeper to deny Erling Haaland, who's already put one past him this afternoon. Haaland's central position went for the bottom right-hand corner, and Sanchez saves. Chelsea 2, Manchester City 1.
I've got to say it, and I very rarely will have to say this. He's got to score there. Erling Haaland, doesn't matter who you are, number 9, makes a great run, and he's picked out with precision with a pass, and he's got one touch out of his feet, and he's 10-15 yards, if that. He's got to beat the goalkeeper from there, Erling Haaland.
Chelsea fans rose on their feet to applaud their goalkeeper there as Doku has it left-hand side. City looking to end the half strongly. Doku gets past one, holds it up on the byline, now needs an outlet, gives it to Bernardo Silva, left corner of the penalty area. He'll flick it onto his right boot, lay it outside the box for Rodri. He has has a look up. Square pass to the right-hand side for Walker. Right corner of the box. A little step over from the England international Kyle Walker. Raheem Sterling closely marking Phil Foden on this near side touchline. Foden cutting in, left-footed. Foden still going low shot. Sanchez slides along the ground, makes the save, stops it going out of play, and has it in his grateful hands.
It's a decent response from City, to be fair. You know, you looked at a couple of attacks, and when they can get the bit between their teeth, you've got to be finishing teams off like that. But they've had a couple of opportunities there. Erling Haaland, I'll go back to it, that's a great chance for him to get 2 goals in the first half, having not scored in 2. Fantastic chance.
Next up for Manchester City, Liverpool. And that's going to be equally as a tough test, although it will be at home at the Etihad Stadium. Palmer and Sterling linking up down this near side, the left. Sterling nutmegs Jeremy Doku and will head towards the 18-yard box. Sterling still going. Little trick shot comes in, and Edison Jackson took over. 18 yards out, left-footed shot. Edison makes the save.
What an excitement this is, by the way. I just absolutely love it to see all different wingers taking fullbacks on in all different ways. And Raheem Sterling there, you can easily see he actually's got Kyle Walker on a peg at the moment.
Manchester City and Pep Guardiola particularly hate these basketball games end to end. He wants control. For the viewer, for the neutral, for the spectator, whatever you are watching this, it has been far from controlled. It has been exciting, exhilarating and full of action, and we hope the second half continues in the same way. Manchester City find themselves 2-1 down with just over a minute to go before we find out how much added time at the end of this first half on BBC Radio Manchester. More reaction to come after Manchester City women lost earlier today against Brighton in the Women's Super League. Here's Foden. Brings it down, left on the right-hand side of Manchester City's the left of Chelsea. Alvarez lets the ball run across him, then sends it back to Walker. Walker out to this near side again for Phil Foden into the final minute of the first half, with Manchester City trailing Chelsea by 2-1. City had the lead as well through Erling Haaland's penalty. Here's Vardiol. Diaz in the centre circle. Pressure building on the City defence, but they have seen a nice pass with Diaz out to Foden on the left, on the right-hand side. He then sweeps it back into the centre circle for Vardiol. Both managers out in the technical area with their hands in their pockets. Vardiol uses Jeremy Doku, who's got to get past Cole Palmer first, and then Moises Caicedo is in close proximity too, and Doku gets the advantage on the pace of Palmer on that far side. Twists and turns, it's up to the byline. Palmer slides in. Corner Manchester City. Phil Brown.
Everybody's jumping into tackles and jumping out of tackles at the moment because the wide players have got so much ability on the ball. When you go to ground and you're in the penalty box, you are taking one hell of a risk.
6 minutes of added time have been shown at the end of the first half. That will be as a result of the VAR check largely for Manchester City's penalty. Corner goes short, out to the left corner of the box for Bernardo Silva. Sends it in, Akanji, 2-2! It's the perfect end to the first half for Manchester City. A free header for Manuel Akanji, scored last week against Bournemouth and scores at the Bridge. We're level at the break. It is Chelsea 2, Manchester City 2.
Well, it's the third or the fourth corner that Manchester City's had in this half, and every time we witnessed last week short corners were taken. That's the first short corner, and it went to the edge of the box to that little magician Bernardo Silva on his left foot, and he's picked out a run of Akanji. And I looked at Pochettino, he cannot believe his defenders. A free header in the 6-yard box, level game, 2-2.
What a game, what a half, 4 goals, 2 apiece. A flare was thrown for the Manchester City fans away to our left-hand side, who are now bouncing for joy as Manuel Akanji scores for the Blues. Free header guided into the left-hand corner of the goal. Enzo Fernandez gets us going again. What next? What's the next twist? What's the next turn in this game?
Well, you're looking at Pep Guardiola on the touchline after celebrating that goal, and it was a very, very, he was subdued almost. He wasn't jumping up and down like a lunatic on the touchline. It's actually got his team talk at half-time changed again, because he must have been thinking, what do I have to do here? We're up against it where Chelsea's concerned. They are absolutely bang at it.
Well, that's late on Ruben Diaz from Conor Gallagher, who could be in trouble there. Diaz squirming in pain, holding his lower right leg. from the late challenge of Gallagher. Decision for the referee.
I don't think he's caught him there, Mike. I think he's gone low, and he's making a meal of it, in my opinion. I think where Gallagher's concerned, he certainly went into a challenge before the first goal. The challenge to our left-hand side here, he went into it, and that was full-blooded. Went right through. I think it was Kyle Walker, but he's left his foot in there. That's the second one of the day. If the referee's going to call him across, he's got to do it now. He's got to give him a yellow card, but there's nothing wrong with the defender.
Yeah, 50-50. Gallagher sliding in. The studs are up, clips the boot of Ruben Diaz. I think he did feel it, but he escapes without punishment, and Diaz is allowed to continue with no treatment from the physios on the pitch. Still to remind you, by the way, we've got 3.5 minutes of added time to go with the 6 that were added on. It's a bit of crazy half. There might still be something before the referee, Anthony Taylor, blows for half-time. 2-2 at the Bridge. Chelsea and Manchester City as Edison goes long over the top. Alvarez is making the run. Thiago Silva brings it down on his chest control, and then Reece James sees it down the right-hand touchline looking for Moises Caicedo. Vardiol steps in. Palmer then gets the loose ball. Bernardo Silva pokes it back to the goal scorer, City's second goal, Manuel Akanji. Good guided header from him for the equaliser. Back to Edison he goes, and back to Akanji once more.
I think I've just been looking at the replay of the goal, and it's a fantastic goal from City's point of view, but it's poor defensively from Chelsea. But once you take them short corners and move the ball to the edge of the box, you've got secondary movement coming in. So instead of picking somebody up from a corner, you've got to now deal with somebody that's spin running, and that's exactly what Akanji did.
It's Doku forward down the left-hand side. Gets it into the penalty area. Bernardo Silva, who assisted the second goal, can't quite turn on this occasion. Disasi sees it away. Here's Sterling, gets the man-on calls from the Chelsea crowd, but then runs into his own crowd of blue players, blue-shirted players of Manchester City, the sky blue this afternoon. Doku turns out. He's tripped by Raheem Sterling. Referee allows play to continue. I think it's the Notts County manager, isn't it, Luke Waterfall, who insists his players don't play the long corners, don't go into the box, because the chances of scoring are so slim that he actually prefers them to take the short corners and rework the defensive positions the players have taken up. Out for a throw-in on this near side.
Well, we used to say a corner, however it is, first phase, second phase, third phase, it's still a set piece, and that for me is still a set piece, because you've got your two centre halves. Basically they're not on the halfway line, they're in the 6-yard box of the opposition, and the reason by being behind that is because it's a set piece. So for me, second phase, Bernardo Silva, great ball in, second phase, set piece for sure.
2 minutes left of the additional 6 at the end of the first half. Here goes City, left-hand side cross, looking for Alvarez, headed away by Disasi. Always in the mix, the Chelsea centre-back, when it comes to defensive clearances, it has to be said, in this first half. Diaz to Walker. Walker runs into Sterling on the flick back. I think he might have lost the ball there, Walker, on the pass. I don't think City were going far, but Sterling was the offender, and a free kick.
I think Walker just used Phil Foden there with a false pass, and I think it's got to be said, Raheem Sterling from the training sessions at Manchester City in England would probably know Kyle Walker's game inside out, and he's blocked it off there. I didn't think it was a foul.
Into the final minute of the first half, then added time as Doku goes towards the byline on the left-hand side. Has he seen it home for a corner? No. Chelsea goal kick.
If you're going to mark the four wingers, and I think that's a nice little half-time team talk, you know, the mark the four wingers, who's had the most influence on the game, you would have to say Raheem Sterling first, I would say Phil Foden second, and I would say maybe the two on the far side. Now I'm hoping they're going to come across here and make a little bit more of an impression because they're nearer us or nearer the touchline.
That's Palmer and Doku you're talking about.
Palmer and Doku, yeah, but for sure we're looking at Phil Foden and Raheem Sterling in the first half.
Impacting on this near side. Chelsea's left, Manchester City's right. If you missed the Doku chat we had, you can listen back on BBC Sounds to the build-up where we assessed Jeremy Doku's start to life at Manchester City. 4 assists last weekend, as Cucurella will take the throw on the near side. Went to the final knockings of the first half. That is the 6 minutes up, so it's down to Anthony Taylor when he blows his whistle now. Thiago Silva sends it high and long towards the Manchester City penalty area. Ruben Diaz under it. Rodri helps it back towards the halfway line. Here's Conor Gallagher. Sterling will take over the ball. A few little step overs him. Jackson in the penalty area. Needs to find a gap to shoot. Hits Kyle Walker off his calves, and it goes behind for a corner on this near side. This will be the last action.
I think the referee's getting carried away in the first half as well, isn't he? He's gone over the 6-minute mark, and there was an opportunity there. The ball came back to Thiago Silva on the halfway line. He thought about nothing else. 6 minutes over time.
Carrying on though with the short corner for Chelsea. Manchester City with some defence to do. Sterling sends in a deep cross to the back post. Edison comes, gathers, falls to the floor, and there goes the half-time whistle. Wow, well, that has absolutely flown by in the first 45 minutes. What an exciting, pulsating game we've witnessed at the Bridge. Manchester City took the lead through the spot kick of Erling Haaland after he was fouled by Marc Cucurella. Plenty of VAR analysis in and around that penalty, with two Chelsea players going down in the box before Cucurella hauled Haaland to the floor. But penalty was given, Haaland dispatched. Chelsea then turned it around. 2 goals from them, one from Thiago Silva flicking on a corner at the near post. Sterling from close range made it 2-1 Chelsea, but Akanji had a free header right on half-time to send it into the bottom left-hand corner of the goal and get Manchester City level at the break. I'm off for a breather. Chelsea 2, Manchester City 2.
well deserved as well, Mike. Goodness me, Phil. What an incredible first half. I mean, it started at a fast pace. The momentum shifted. It was end to end, as you said, almost like two boxers going straight to the centre of the ring and just going toe to toe with neither taking a back step. That was a pretty incredible first half.
Stacey, that's the beauty of it, what you've just said there. Neither of them taking a back step. It's not a case of we're 2-1 down, damage limitation or anything like that. I'm looking at two sides who know they've got the quality to win this game of football, that know if they're down, they're on one of the games, the better games, they've got a chance of beating the opposition. Bottom line is they're sharing the spoils at the moment. But if I go back to what's the difference between the two teams, or the difference at the moment, 2 corners, 1 penalty and 1 mistake. They're the 4 goals. So set pieces are playing a big part in the first half, and 1 mistake, and it was Vardiol who just allowed, I think it was Reece James, a second bite of the cherry, and he put across for Raheem Sterling to put the ball in the back of the net. So there's the proof in the pudding in the making, is the set pieces. Be more on your guard and stop them from coming in, crosses coming in if necessary, and no more mistakes. And that little bit of magic that both teams possess might just win the game in the second half.
We'll talk about the penalty decision in just a moment and the goals, but you have mentioned in commentary, Phil, being impressed particularly by Foden and Sterling in terms of the wingers today, and in particular them being willing to get at players, to run at defenders, isolate them in those one-on-one positions and have an end product as well, which again speaks to the confidence that they feel.
Stacey, I think Raheem Sterling was up for it before the game because obviously it's his former club. Where Phil Foden was concerned, he come against a very tenacious Cucurella, and I'm watching the fullbacks as well. It's not all about the flair, it's not all about the wingers. Sometimes I look and I enjoy watching defenders do their jobs properly, and I was looking at Cucurella and he was getting the better of Phil Foden 20-25 minutes into the game. I made reference to it. If he doesn't want to be sitting beside Pep Guardiola in the second half, he's got to step up to the plate. Within seconds he went past 3, put a cross into the far post, and Erling Haaland hit the side netting. So there are moments in the game where you do step up to the plate. You can't do it every minute of the game. You've just got to pick and choose your times, but when you do, you've got to put quality in that penalty box, and all 4 of them have got quality.
Well, Phil, we're going to mention the penalty, but I want to share a couple of tweets on that. One from Jim. He says, what about the tug on Cucurella's shirt by Haaland before Haaland gets tugged by him? And then Andy says, if you don't want to risk giving a penalty away, don't hold on to players or their shirts. It's simple. Doesn't matter if you think it's harsh or not. It's always a penalty. Now, for those who haven't seen the replay, where everything looks different in slow motion, Phil, but they did appear to both be holding on to one another from the beginning. What was your take on it? And do you agree that no matter what, that is always going to be a penalty?
Fullbacks union, first and foremost. I'm going to go on Cucurella's side and say I would have made more of a meal of the tug by Erling Haaland. All it is was Erling Haaland letting him know that he's there. Just letting him know he's having a little feel, a little tug, and then he releases, I believe, and then that first tug, I don't know whether it's made Cucurella a little bit more animated, but he's decided, if this comes into the far post, I'm losing the inches battle here. I'm 5'6", 5'7" at best, and I've got a 6'3" giant at the back post, but he hasn't read the flight of the ball, so he's done a little bit more damage to the striker than he needed to, because he's got his, what you could only class as, I know he's not captain, he's not wearing the armband, but what a player Thiago Silva is, in the right place at the right time, and he's headed the ball from underneath the crossbar in the 6-yard box. So Cucurella didn't have to be as animated as what he was. As it stands, the referee's drawn to it, he's drawn to the shirt pull, and he's given the penalty. And it's a tough decision, it really is, because you've got 3 Chelsea players sprawled down on the ground on the surface here at Stamford Bridge, and you've got a 35,000-40,000 crowd's going to be after you if you give a penalty. But he stood by his guns and he's given the penalty. I've got to say, I thought it was a penalty.
Well, we've got a couple more tweets here that I want to share with you, Phil. One from Ben, who says, why are Poch versus Pep games always like this? There are lots of reasons for that, Ben, but we're all just very glad that they are, because we've been treated to a pretty incredible first half. Liz, who says, could be about 5-5. Haaland should have 2. He could drive a truck through these hopeless defenders. Hopefully she means the gaps between them, by the way, just
Absolutely.
to clarify. And Tom says, Chelsea demonstrating how to play against City. Are City a better team? Probably, but they don't play anywhere near as well as when teams play their own game and take it to them. More teams need to do this. They're far from unbeatable. This is an interesting point, Phil, because I put it to Michael Brown in the build-up that Pep, has said that there's teams that wait for you, teams that come at you. Chelsea, Pochettino's Chelsea anyway, are a team that come at you. Would that be in City's favour? He said yes. Has it been so far?
I don't think it is. I think Chelsea are a decent side when they've got the ball. I think they're a good attacking team. Defensively, you're coming up against a front four that can cause any defence in the world, and I'm talking world football. It causes anybody a problem, if they're on the game. And invariably, playing under Pep, you are on your game. Playing for Manchester City, you are on your game. You are going to ask questions, and you are going to get opportunities in the second half. But I have to say it, I'm very, very pleased and pleasantly surprised that somebody is taking the game to Manchester City. I witnessed too much one-way traffic last week against Bournemouth, and I'm not being disrespectful of Bournemouth there. It was almost like they came, they couldn't conquer, and they weren't trying to conquer, and consequently they were conquered. 6. Today it's a totally different argument, and Pep Guardiola knows that. He knows that he's got a Pochettino there who plays, he likes the same kind of system. I think they both favour the 4-2-3-1. But that midfield 3, the dynamics of that midfield 3, I think that's the reason why City have gone Rodri sitting, definitively sitting, and then you've got Silva and Alvarez in that more attacking role. So you've almost got 2 number 10s, and I think that asks Chelsea more of a question. They've got to now alternate or change their formation in the middle of the park, because if City play through the middle of the park, they'll cause Chelsea problems big time. And I know we've talked about wingers versus fullbacks. If they play through that midfield 3, they'll cause Chelsea all sorts of problems second half.
And a final one here, Phil, from Dan, who says, Cole Palmer to score the winner? I've seen the script. What do you reckon?
Well, he's been quiet. I don't know. Maybe it's the far side of the pitch. I don't know, because Doku appeared to be quiet. I looked at Doku, and I honestly think the fullback in Reece James had the better of him. Now, can you say the same with regards to Cole Palmer? I'm going to look at that a little bit more closely. I've been more impressed with the battles between the fullbacks and the wingers on this side of the pitch. But second half, there may be changes. Who knows? Raheem Sterling, he's playing a big part in the game, and I think he needs to stay on for 90 minutes. But possibly we might see a Jack Grealish in the second half that might have that impact from the bench that he needs to have, because if he wants to start being first choice at Manchester City again on a regular basis, these are the big games he needs to come off a bench and make an impact.
Thank you very much, Phil. Well, I guess what's really exciting is that we cannot possibly call what is ahead in this second half. If it's anything like the first half, either way, we are certainly in for a treat. What an incredible game it's been so far. 2-2 at the break, Chelsea and Manchester City. Second half commentary on the way. Scores elsewhere then in the Premier League. It finished Aston Villa 3, Fulham 1, Brighton 1, Sheffield United 1, Liverpool 3, Brentford 0, West Ham 3, Nottingham Forest 2, and it's currently Chelsea 2, Manchester City 2 at the halfway point. In the WSL, it finished Manchester United 5, West Ham 0, Manchester City 0, Brighton 1, Spurs 1, Liverpool 1, Everton 0, Chelsea 3, Bristol City 0, Aston Villa 2, and India beat the Netherlands by 160 runs in the final group match of the Cricket World Cup. The hosts stay unbeaten after posting a mammoth 410. And Manchester and the football world will celebrate the incredible life of Sir Bobby Charlton tomorrow. Thousands of fans are expected to pay their final respects at Sir Bobby's funeral, and we'll have full coverage on BBC Radio Manchester throughout the day.
Hi, I'm Rob Burrow. Episode 1 of my podcast, 7, is now available to download and subscribe on BBC Sounds featuring the footballing legend Wayne Rooney.
Yay!
Thank you, great to be here. I'm excited. I got into rugby league when I was about 17, 18, and there's no way I was going to support St Helens, Warrington, Wigan, because they're all fake Scousers. I'm watching the Rhinos play and I was gripped. I think your energy and you staying strong really helps everyone else around you, and everything you're doing to turn this situation into a positive and try and help others, it's really inspiring.
So please download and subscribe now to my podcast, 7 Rob Burrow, available on BBC Sounds or wherever you get your podcasts.
Total Sport. BBC Radio Manchester.
Let's get some reaction now for the Women's Super League and a contrasting day for Manchester City and United. The Blues suffered a shock 1-0 defeat to Brighton. Boss Gareth Taylor admits they were well off the pace.
Might be a chance for Bremner inside the penalty area, pulls the ball across and a tap in, and Brighton have scored. It's League One men who's got it. 10 to go in the game, and Brighton it is who open the scoring. Manchester City 0, Brighton 1.
Overall thoughts was that we were off the pace today. And by that I mean I thought we started the game quite well. We hit the bar within the first attack of the game, but it was kind of from there that we slowly regressed backwards and just felt like we were very flat. We just needed to be able to give the fans something to cling onto a little bit to get them up, and we had a lot of opportunities today. I think over 30 shots on goal, and over double figures on target, but everything was straight at the goalkeeper. So it's just a funny game today, and we was just something missing. I don't know what it was. I think that's probably one of the most disappointing performances I've had. There were some decent moments and where we moved the ball well and created, but felt like we clutched at opportunities a little bit, and like I say, we just didn't seem like ourselves today, like all over the pitch. I think apart from Kiara and Chloe, we were really flat.
One of those days. Well, that defeat puts the Blues down to 5th in the table. United, though, are up to 2nd as summer signing JC scored her first WSL goal in their 5-0 thumping of West Ham. Turner, Paris Garcia and Mallard were also on the score sheet for Mark Skinner's side. The Reds moved 2nd, a point above City.
I was happy with the 5 goals. I'm happy with the clean sheet. I wasn't happy with our second half attitude when we came out of the dressing room. We were too lax. A lot of appreciation for the way that Rianne and West Ham played, because they didn't drop off us. They were very aggressive, and on another day maybe would have caused us, if they'd have scored, maybe caused a problem. So I think it's really important that we have the highest of standards of ourselves, expectations of ourselves, that we come out 3-0 at half time, wipe that score and go again. And I think at half time, so that's what I've said to the players. But I am, on the other hand, really pleased with the types of goals, the different goal scorers. Of course, there's loads of positives, but we have a responsibility to... Our attitude is something we can control. And in the game, there's not a lot you can control, so we have to control that.
First WSL goal for Jaysa today. It's starting to kind of really grow into the season.
Yes, and do you know what I love about our team is that we're unpredictable the way we score. We can score from everywhere, and if you're a team playing against us, how do you prepare? You prepare for stopping JC and Nikita finishes, or then Malvine comes in, or Luthia comes in, or Rachel heads it. You've got all these different ways. Then we can, from the 10s we can supply. So yeah, it's a nightmare to play against us, and that's what I want to continue for us to do, but we have to make sure the other side of the game is looked after as well.
Well, it's half-time now in your commentary game of Chelsea and Manchester City, 2-2 as it stands, second half on the way. Before that, let's get some reaction to yesterday's games. Manchester United claimed a much-needed win as they beat Luton 1-0 at Old Trafford. Victor Lindelof's second half goal means the Reds have now won 4 league games out of 5. Boss Erik ten Hag, though, says they need to take more risks.
Marcus Rashford on the right, Rashford along the ground, scramble in the box, and Victor Lindelof gets us off the mark at Old Trafford. Right-footed finish after a mess at the back following the corner, and the Swedish captain puts United 1-up.
I think it expresses the way we play football. We attack with 11, we defend with 11. And so everyone from us is capable to score a goal. And you see, we already have 13, but I heard different goal scorers. And of course, you hope on one day our goal scorers, our attackers, will start to score goals in the Premier League as well, and they are absolutely capable of it. They proved it. Rashford last season 30 goals, Højlund 5 goals in the Premier League and the highest level. So there will come a time they start to score, where others also they are capable, like Garnacho, Anthony. So we have more. So as long as we create chances, as we did today, we don't have to worry. It's only a matter of time.
Ten Hag there. Well, you can have a say on United on tomorrow's Total Sport from 6 o'clock, and also keep an eye out for a new episode of the Devil's Advocate podcast, which will be on your podcast feeds tomorrow. If you'd like to get in touch with us throughout this second half, it's 81333 to text. Start your message with the word Mank. You can catch us on X or Twitter at BBC RM Sports, and we'd love to speak to you after the game as well. Well, let's see if we have the same second half tenacity that we had in the first. What an incredible first half we had. Let's go into your second half commentary now from Stamford Bridge, which I'm sure has a pretty incredible atmosphere right now for Chelsea and Manchester City. 2-2 as it stands. Let's go to your commentary team of former Premier League manager Phil Brown. And first, Mike Minay.
Thanks, Stacey. Yeah, it could finish 2-2, couldn't it? Could finish 5-5, given on what we've seen in the first half. Both sets of players are back out. No changes, it looks like, from either manager at the break. So Chelsea, Sanchez in goal, James Disasi, Thiago Silva, one of their goal scorers, and Cucurella, who got booked in the first half, as their back four. Caicedo and Fernandes, with Palmer, Gallagher and their other goal scorer Raheem Sterling in midfield. Nicholas Jackson leads their line. We are underway for the second half. Chelsea in their dark blue shorts with the white socks are now left to right. Manchester City attacking the shed end away to our right hand side, away to our left hand side, so right to left. Sky blue shirts, white shorts and sky blue socks, and Sterling's just nicked the ball off Kyle Walker. I'll run you through the Manchester City team now, actually, because Raheem Sterling's been fouled. Edison in goal, Walker, Diaz, Akanji and Vardiol the back four. Bernardo and Rodri operating in midfield, but Bernardo has been given licence to go forward at times. Foden, Alvarez and Doku, with Erling Haaland up front. 2-2 the score then. Chelsea with this free kick almost at the midway point of the Manchester City half. Cole Palmer taking the authority on it, raises a right arm in the air, players gather on the edge of the 18-yard box, in it goes, header is up from Manchester City that flicks it on towards this near side. Conor Gallagher then races over to the touchline with Joško Vardiol, no foul given, and Vardiol has a throw in for Manchester City. Former Bolton player, assistant and Premier League manager Phil Brown is alongside me in the commentary box.
Well, there's a little start there. You've looked at a couple of battles straight away, and Raheem Sterling and Kyle Walker have been attracted to that straight away. A little battle going on.
Alvarez forward to Phil Foden as Manchester City flood forward in numbers. Foden lets Alvarez go on the overlap. He puts it across and Haaland can see it home. And Manchester City have taken less than 2 minutes at the start of this second half to get going and to get back in front. And it's Erling Haaland once again. Low ball in from the right. Haaland on close range. Tangles with a defender, but it goes over the line. And the crazy game that we've seen so far has yet another twist. Chelsea 2, Manchester City 3.
Mate, you said 5-5 and I was shaking my head. No, don't be silly. You never get two halves the same. This is exactly the same. It started off in the same manner, and they love that little ball down the sideline. It's a ball out of the defence by, I think it's Bernardo Silva, but they get to the byline so well here. And again, getting the ball across the face of the goal. Erling Haaland must be hoping and praying. Here we go, a little tap in the 6-yard box, but he's got to be there. Keeper makes a save, deflects it onto him. Erling Haaland, right place, right time. 3-2 City.
Not convinced that was scored with his boots. I think that might have even come off the groin area of Erling Haaland. They all count. And Manchester City lead again by 3-2. But are we having a VAR check here? There's a pause in play and Anthony Taylor is over the ball inside the centre circle. Are they looking for a possible handball of Erling Haaland as it goes over the line? He's on his back. He slides in on goal, 2 yards out. It's not a clean connection from Erling Haaland, but it has given us a VAR check.
Thumbs up, I'm going here. It's got to be, absolutely. The manager's seen it first by the looks of it. But for me, it's no way whatsoever. It doesn't hit me in an orthodox place, as you well imagine. You've seen it, it's hitting underneath the midriff, but it's slid across the line. He's got his arm out the way in time. It's a goal.
Is the ball over the line before it touches Erling Haaland's elbow? My goodness me, what a decision this is.
What's he supposed to do, mate, with his arm?
Well, he has no control of it. Goal given. Thank goodness the controversy didn't extend to extreme lengths there. VAR is checked, and Manchester City do score 3 at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 2, City 3.
He's celebrating again, Erling Haaland. That's what everybody's talking about when a goal scorer scores a goal. You don't get a chance to celebrate because of VAR. He's had a couple of chances there. He went straight across to the City faithful, the travelling fans. He slid in front of them, celebrated once, and then on the halfway line the VAR check was complete, and he celebrated a second time.
Well, we're off and running for the second half. Stamford Bridge quietened in the pouring rain of West London, with Manchester City back in front, but Chelsea, who've been brilliant on the attack and have kept the pace of this game alive, are off again down the left-hand side. Raheem Sterling, the former Manchester City man who scored already in this game, is now getting to the byline, crosses it in, diving header away from Ruben Diaz, who will poke it away further before Conor Gallagher gets a sniff at it, and it's blasted away into the Chelsea half.
And how many times do you see Rodri ever do that? Blast the ball out of the penalty box. He knows just after half time somebody gets their noses in front, and Man City have done that to go 3-2. He's just cleared his lanes wildly there. Little bit of a respite now from Man City.
Edison with the ball out wide on the far side to Ruben Diaz. Manchester City from right to left in this second half. 5 minutes have gone. Manchester City are back in front, and Chelsea, who've lost 15 of their 34 Premier League games this season, are behind again. Only once in 1993, 30 years ago, did they lose more in a Premier League calendar year. Manchester City now have to hold on to this lead, which is something they didn't do the first time around. They led through Erling Haaland's penalty. Chelsea went and scored 2 before Akanji equalised right on the brink of half-time. Erling Haaland's given City the lead, though, in somewhat controversial ways and different methods to score a goal, but they all count, and City lead by 3-2. Here is Caicedo, flicks it back towards his own penalty area. It's then sent up into the air to the right-hand side. Reece James gave up the fight pretty early on, knowing he wasn't going to get there. Joško Vardiol sees it out for a throw-in on this near side.
Mike, it's got to be said, there's been a great advert for the Premier League in the first half. 2 teams going at each other. It's fantastic, the quality of the football. But again, I'm going to go back to Thiago Silva. What an advert for anybody who wants to conduct themselves in the right manner right the way through their careers and still play at the highest level at 38, 39. He's just an absolute pleasure to watch.
A couple of Chelsea players go for a warm-up down this near side touchline. Rico Lewis, Matthias and Grealish are all involved there. On that near side touchline for Manchester City, down towards our left-hand side. Alvarez, who's assisted Haaland then for Manchester City's third goal. He's on the ball, gives it back to the halfway line. Ruben Diaz, Walker to Phil Foden. He'll step in field. Now Alvarez sets off and can see the space on the left-hand side for Jeremy Doku to have a run at the defence for the first time in his second half. Switches in field, gets it on his right foot. Foden flicks it over the top. It's going to leave the penalty area, though, for Bernardo Silva, who crosses one in. Foden was rising for the header, away by Chelsea. Rodri's first in on the charge, knocks it down, volley shot, save. Alvarez met that cleanly. Sanchez reacted fast and makes the save down to his left-hand side.
Great quality from Rodri there. It was up in the air. He had no real right to the control. He flicked it inside, knowing exactly where Alvarez was. And Alvarez's technique on the half volley worked the goalkeeper. Not to be.
Chelsea 2, Manchester City 3. Vardiol in on the left, now switches back out wide. He's tripped by Caicedo. Manchester City have a free kick here, 25 yards from the Chelsea goal, not far from the left corner of the penalty area, away to our left-hand side, but a chance nonetheless.
All the goals that have been scored, I think the 5th goal has knocked the stuffing and knocked the wind out the sails of Chelsea. They showed a lot of character in that first half. A goal behind, come back, 2-1 up, 2-2 just before half-time. The first couple of minutes of the second half is always important, and when City have gone 3-2 up, it's knocked the wind out the sails.
Manchester City can become the first club since Leeds in 1973 to 1991 to win 4 away games at Chelsea in a row. A 4th goal here to give them a 2-goal cushion could send them on their way to achieving just that. Alvarez and Foden over the ball, so either the right of Alvarez or the left of Foden. Foden runs over it, so Alvarez bends it in back post over everybody. Ruben Diaz closest to it, behind for a goal kick.
I think both of them, Akanji and Vardiol, should have been on the end of that. It was a decent ball in, to be fair. A little conflab on the ball between four of them. I was expecting to see something different, but the ball was just simply played in the 6-yard box, and City players put the brakes on for some reason.
Floodlights shining down as the rain continues to fall here at Stamford Bridge, as we hit that territory now where these later kickoffs in the Premier League, I mean, we get that kind of night atmosphere under the floodlights of the respective grounds. And here is James to Gallagher, Gallagher to Sterling on the right hand side, back out wide to Conor Gallagher, who made the England squad this time around for the upcoming internationals. Raheem Sterling did not. And Chelsea inside the centre circle with Disasi. Has time, has space, uses Thiago Silva to his left hand side. Chelsea 2, Manchester City 3. We played 9 minutes of the second half. Here is James back to Disasi, who signed for £38.5 million in the summer against Monaco. Scored on his debut against Liverpool. That was the last time he found the back of the net. We'll give him credit. He is a defender. He's not meant to be at that end scoring goals. As the ball is sent to the right-hand side, little grease on the surface now with the rain that falls. Reece James and Doku collide. Referee has pulled it back for a free kick in the centre circle with no advantage given to Chelsea.
I want to know how long the advantage is these days. Sometimes it's longer than 5 seconds, and it's crazy to me. I mean, once you played the advantage, I was told that after 2 or 3 seconds, that's it, it's over and done with. You've allowed it to go on. You've got to go to the next phase of the game.
James has asked a lot of Caicedo. Diaz is racing across, slides in, makes the fair tackle. Out for a throw-in, but Manchester City, given the situation they were in momentarily there, will most definitely have taken a throw-in over anything else. So, near side opportunity, Chelsea's right. Conor Gallagher throws it back towards the halfway line. Uses Disasi. And he goes into the centre circle for Thiago Silva. Disasi again on this right-hand side. Palmer is back there to try and pick up the ball and influence the play. He sends a long ball high in the air out towards the left-hand side. It will bounce down for Raheem Sterling, challenged by Phil Foden. Both will know each other so well from their times at Manchester City. Foden remains in sky blue, while Raheem Sterling switched sky blue for royal blue as he moved to West London last season. Here is Rodri in the centre circle. Bernardo Silva will let the ball run across his body, and then out to Doku on the left-hand side, up against James, who's backpedaling. Doku into the box, turns to his left-hand side. Oh, pulled down, free kick, and a yellow card to Jeremy Doku for simulation.
Very interesting that. I love to see that. Don't get me wrong, I love to see it when a fullback wins battles, but Doku's gone to ground there very, very easily, and he's got away with it. I mean, a yellow card was no doubt in my mind. He was simulating there, no doubt, but good defending from Reece James. But the noticeable thing about Chelsea, Conor Gallagher now, he's playing right hand side now. He's been asked to have a little go at Vardiol, and Cole Palmer's now playing in the number 10 role. So just a little change in personnel, not formation, where Chelsea's concerned.
I just wonder whether they have spotted a slightly weaker link in City's back line in Vardiol, certainly at fault for the second goal of Chelsea's, and giving Conor Gallagher some work to do down that right hand side. Doku booked as Sterling goes down the left, puts in a low ball towards Gallagher. Edison diving away from his goal line, catches the ball.
That suggests to me that, you know, as far as I was concerned, Conor Gallagher's got to make that near post area. And okay, the goalkeeper makes a good save from a very, very dangerous cross from Raheem Sterling, but Conor Gallagher's got to affect that near post area.
Chelsea 2, Manchester City 3, 12 minutes gone in the second half. BBC Radio Manchester, Total Sport live from Stamford Bridge. Foul late on Reece James. Another free kick to Chelsea.
I was thinking another simulation there.
Not given, and Chelsea play the free kick quickly. Here's Jackson, edge of the penalty area. Easy sliding challenge for Ruben Diaz. A couple of those in the last moments from him. And Haaland gets the ball and can bend it low along the ground with pace to Jeremy Doku. Grealish watches on from the sidelines as Doku gets into the box. Doku! Saved by the feet of Sanchez, who smothers the ball at the second time of asking and clutches it gratefully. Jeremy Doku with loads of space, and he attacked the penalty area with some ferocity, but he couldn't apply the finish.
Mate, we're seeing the best number 9 in the world at the moment, and I'm telling you, Erling Haaland, you see his contribution to the game there. He turned in his own 25-30 yards outside his penalty box, turned in his own half, spread the ball out wide, and he sprinted 70 yards to get in that 6-yard box, and he was going ballistic. with Doku for not putting the ball in. Doku went a little bit selfish, tried to cut inside and have a shot. I tell you what, Erling Haaland, what a player, what a run.
What a run indeed. Even if there was no end product there, the commitment certainly from Erling Haaland as ball goes out of play for a Chelsea throw in near side their right, midway inside their own half. Jack Grealish is going to come on here, and it's like for like with Jeremy Doku being the replacement.
Well, I'm not saying that's because Doku's played poorly by any stretch of the imagination, but I've got to say it, Reece James has won that battle. And we talked about it all the way through before the game started in the first half. The individual battles between fullbacks and wingers, I think that's the one that's been dealt with the easiest or the best. Reece James has won that battle, hence Doku's now sitting on the bench and Grealish is on the field of play.
It should provide a little bit more control in amidst the chaos that we've seen in the opening 59 minutes of this game. Chelsea 2, Manchester City 3. Here come Chelsea on the attack up to the halfway line, using Sterling on that far side touchline there left. They'll attack it up against Kyle Walker. Still Sterling. Rodri doubles in support, and Sterling still comes out with the ball, but as he gets to the corner of the penalty area, he shows too much of it to the defence, who are able to clear it for Manchester City. Then Cucurella and Foden tangle, and the referee says that's 50-50. Here's Sterling up against Walker again. It's laid on through for Enzo Fernandez, but poor, and Diaz steps in and clears it up to the halfway line.
Mate, very noticeable there from my perspective, the unwritten things that Rodri doesn't for the team.
Palmer, edge of the penalty area, still going. Cole Palmer! Edison makes the save, and Palmer should have done better there, but Edison sprawled, made himself big, and as Palmer had the one-on-one, it's the Manchester City goalkeeper out on top.
What a chance that is. Cole Palmer's worked his way around 3-4 City players, and not many people can actually do that. He's got himself into a position that should have been a little side foot pass. He gets out a real tight area, goes past Rodri in the centre half like they're not there, and the goalkeeper stands up, and he was big to beat. Well done, Edison.
Moises Caicedo booked in the aftermath of City's clearance as they tried to get the ball upfield. Palmer stayed on his feet. Diaz couldn't get the challenge in. Edison made the save. Chelsea 2, Manchester City 3 on the hour mark. Here is Diaz to Edison again, away to our right hand side, the Manchester City goalkeeper this afternoon in the second half in his lime green outfit, Bernardo Silva. Lovely turn up against Caicedo, who couldn't commit anymore given the recent booking, and now Grealish has space on the left hand side. Grealish into the penalty area, will lay it across for Phil Foden, left foot low shot, saved by Sanchez.
What a bit of magic. I know I called them the three magic men, but Bernardo Silva in his own half in front of his two centre halves does a little Cruyff turn. What a turn that was.
Sterling's away from Kyle Walker, who recovers well there. He'll want the free kick, Raheem Sterling, that doesn't come and angers the Stamford Bridge faithful, but Manchester City are having none of it and get on the attack themselves. Here is Foden out to the right for Alvarez, who puts a low ball in, sweeping across the box, runs the full length of the 18-yard box. Erling Haaland has to get over to this near side to get hold of the ball. Grealish, square pass. Rodri, 25 yards from goal, out to the right again for Alvarez, who has to back away from the penalty area under the pressure of Cucurella. Now Kyle Walker joins the attack for Manchester City, who lead Chelsea by 3-2 here at Stamford Bridge. Walker and Foden combine with Alvarez again. Here's Rodri on the far side touchline, back into the centre circle he goes for Akanji, and Vardiol just nudges the ball to Jack Grealish with his socks rolled halfway down his calves on this near side. Back to Vardiol. City maintain the control.
Well, you talk about how open the game went in the last couple of minutes. My word, we were looking one way, and then the next minute, 2 seconds later, we're looking at the other goal. The game's gone so open.
Rodri with space, open in front of him to the right-hand side. Haaland will have to put turn provider here, whips in across. Near post catch from Robert Sanchez just off his goal line, and he'll race to the edge of his penalty area, but he hasn't got anywhere to go very quickly to start the counter-attack.
And many times you see that now, a goalkeeper runs to the edge of his penalty box and he's still got 4 or 5 men behind him. He hasn't got a chance to the tempo there, but Vardiol's just intercepted here.
And a little nudge to the left-hand side for Bernardo Silva. Here's Grealish on the left corner of the penalty area, sweeps it across, edge of the D. Alvarez, heavy touch, can he recover it? Chips it back up towards the byline left-hand side. Grealish will have the control right in front of the Manchester City fans in the bottom half of that shed end away to our left. Here's Bernardo Silva. Akanji Again, it's slowing down the tempo for Manchester City, but it's working. And Chelsea, who needs something, a bit of impetus, are going to get a little bit of gusto in a moment. Gusto's coming on for the home side.
Great interception that made. Gusto in front of us. I'll tell you what Grealish has brought to the party, though. He's came on for Doku, and he's just settled it down a wee bit, you know. When the games become frenetic, they're 3-2 up Manchester City. They're in a winning mood, a winning formula, and Grealish has just come on and he's took that little bit of control into the final third for Manchester City, which Doku wasn't supplying.
And that's what Jack Grealish does. So Chelsea substitutions. First up, Enzo Fernandez, much quieter in the second half than he was in the first. He's off. Mikhailo Mudryk, the Ukrainian, the big January signing from last year, £88.5 million. He comes on. 2 goals in his last 3 games, including one in the last international break. And Gusto on for Reece James as well. Spent the second half of last season on loan to Lyon, where he moved to Chelsea from in January. They sent him back to France to complete the season. He's on here to act as an extra attacking option from Chelsea, but from the defence.
It's very positive, it's got to be said. They've now got 5 out-and-out strikers who are thinking about nothing else but scoring a goal. I see Raheem Sterling's come on this side, and something's happening to Ederson. For some reason he's gone to ground. I've not seen what happened there.
Manchester City thankfully have 2 substitutes on their bench goalkeeper wise, in Stefan Ortega and Scott Carson. Only one of them's going to come on, but Ederson is just going to have a bit of treatment from the physios out there. As it stands then, Manchester City will go 3 points clear at the top of the Premier League, ahead of Liverpool, who they meet next time out, with Liverpool beating Brentford 3-0 earlier today. Aston Villa beat Fulham 3-1. Sheffield United drew 1-1 away at Brighton down to 10 in that game, and West Ham won it late against Nottingham Forest by 3-2. We've got the same scoreline here, but in Manchester City's favour. Phil Brown.
The change, I think, is going to be more like a Chelsea 4-1, one-sitter, and then they've got 2 attacking midfield players with a front 3, so it's almost like a 4-3-3, but a very, very aggressive 4-3-3 with Gallagher and Palmer in the middle of the park trying to support Jackson up top.
Ederson's still receiving treatment out there, but he is up on his feet. Stefan Ortega's gone for a little jog down the left-hand side, but I think he might be okay. Manchester City have actually named 1 player less on the bench because of their injury list. That includes Kevin De Bruyne, it includes John Stones, 2 key men in the field. They could do without losing Ederson as well, but just stretching out his left knee on the edge of his penalty area. The ball right at the other end of the field. Marc Cucurella on the far side touchline, midway inside the Chelsea half.
Mate, this has been a real open, entertaining game, and I think it's going to get even further. It's going to get more and more open with the attack-minded players that Chelsea have put on the field of play. It's going to go from one end to the other. Chelsea could either get a decent equaliser and go on to be a barnstorming finish, or City could win this game comfortably.
Well, the longer it stays tight, the more Chelsea will have to go for it. 66 minutes played, Chelsea 2, Manchester City 3. Here is Mudryk with his first touches of the ball, then he lays it infield to Caicedo. Gallagher, low shot, saved by Ederson. Where's the rebound? Jackson pokes it home. And there's huge appeals for offside that never come, and Chelsea do have their equaliser. The 6th goal in this pulsating game, spilled by the goalkeeper, and straight into the path of Jackson, who levels it up again. Chelsea 3, Manchester City 3.
66 minutes on the clock, my word, the substitutes have made a difference all of a sudden, and what an opportunity that's for Chelsea to get an equaliser and then finish it off. I don't know if there's going to be VAR having a look at the offside, but it looks like a good goal to me. 3-3, we're in for one hell of a 25-minute finish.
Just in case the previous 65 hadn't been good enough.
Correct.
As Chelsea came down the left-hand side, Mudryk did the work, flicked it infield. Caicedo laid off Conor Gallagher, who took the long-range shot on. Jackson is onside. The flag stayed down with good reason. He sent it back under a sprawled Ederson, who was stranded inside his 6-yard box after spilling the ball. And it is Chelsea 3, Manchester City 3.
Ask me which way this is going to go, I couldn't tell you. I'm telling you, what a game we've got on our hands. There's so much quality from both teams, you don't know which way it's going to go.
City in the centre circle, flick it out to the left-hand side. Jack Grealish's turn now as he takes on Gusto. Bernardo Silva on the reverse pass. Oh, big claim of handball. That's a huge decision for Anthony Taylor to wave away. VAR will check in the background. The City fans behind that goal certainly felt they had a strong case.
It looks a strong case. The player that went to ground, and I think it was Dizazi, he's gone to ground. He can't do anything but get his hands in the way, and the ball has definitely looked like he's hit his hand.
Play continues. Here is Alvarez building again on the edge of the Chelsea penalty area away to our left-hand side. Foden, cross comes in from Diaz, it's deep. Haaland will rise, put it across goal. Foden's racing in, ball's in the air from the Chelsea challenge, and Sanchez gathers it. The referee says it hit his head. That's the indication he's making to an appealing set of Manchester City players now that the play has been calmed down with the ball at the hands of Robert Sanchez. We haven't seen a replay yet. We're going to get one now.
Well, you're looking there. It is hit his head. It's a good decision, my word. What a great decision that is. You've got to say it. I think the referee, under very, very strong circumstances, and I'm talking about the circumstances that evolved from Monday night's game, Chelsea against Spurs. What came from that was just controversy beyond repair. Now all of a sudden you've got a referee. I think Anthony Taylor has been well and truly in charge of this game. Well done.
Two managers on their technical areas as Pep Guardiola goes back to his assistants to have a word. What can he find? Mauricio Pochettino strolls the touchline. He's only won 4 of 22 games against Pep Guardiola in all competitions. Most recent of those in the Champions League group stage of 2021-22 when PSG won 2-0 in Paris. Manchester City won 2-1 at the Etihad Stadium. Raheem Sterling scored that night for Manchester City as Palmer gets away from Gvardiol down the right-hand side. The Chelsea fans on their feet in expectation. Palmer's just slowed it down a little bit. Lays it in field for Conor Gallagher. He plays a 1-2 with Caicedo. Here's Thiago Silva out to the left for Marc Cucurella.
I wonder if Pochettino's feeling comfortable with his selections now, because when he's made his changes, he's got his changes to try and get back in the game. He's now back in the game. He's still got that attack-minded team on the field of play. So counter-attacking football for Manchester City is order of the day in the last 20 minutes.
Manchester City still could turn to the bench for Calvin Phillips, Kovacic, Matthias, Oscar Bob, Rico Lewis. Here's Gusto. Gusto left-hand side, left-footed pass rather, from the right. Gets down the touchline again, laid in by Gallagher. Here is Gusto. Sterling plays the 1-2 with Gusto. Gallagher once more. It is the Frenchman of Gusto. It's sent in by Palmer. Jackson's lurking, but Diaz is under it out towards this near side. Gvardiol helps it further on from the penalty area with his head. It's Palmer again trying to make a nuisance of himself. Akanji got his legs tangled but made the challenge, and here's Bernardo Silva. Grealish back to Edison, who will go flat just outside the box to Rodri. Here's Diaz, and Alvarez can now set off on the attack. He turns towards the Chelsea half. He heads on. He's on a good 50-yard run out to the right-hand side. Foden back through to Alvarez. Where's Erling Haaland in the box as Alvarez's cross is blocked? It doesn't even matter what the answer to that question was, and it goes behind for a Chelsea goal kick.
There's that counter-attacking football I'm talking about. Chelsea and the ascendancy in terms of possession, and then all of a sudden you had three players that committed to going forward. I think Manchester City at the moment looked like they were happy with a point. I know they won't be because they've got too much quality on the field of play, but at the moment Chelsea and the ascendancy.
3-3 Chelsea and Manchester City locked here at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea, who have failed to score in 3 of their last 4 games here in West London, have now scored 3 in 1 game, and it's got them level against Manchester City. They might fancy a fourth as Rodri pulls down Cole Palmer. No decision for Anthony Taylor to make. That is a yellow card.
It has to be said, Cole Palmer going into the middle of the park has been a difference. I'm saying where Chelsea are concerned, he looks ineffective playing out wide. When he gets into the middle of the park, he looks like a number 10. He looks like it can cause you a problem, and he's certainly asking Rodri and Silva, Bernardo Silva, questions.
Chelsea play the free kick short. The rain continues to fall at pace here at Stamford Bridge, a packed Stamford Bridge. It's that time of year though where the club colours just go hiding a little bit, not as common as they are in the summer perhaps, with many choosing their big winter coats. The temperatures have dipped in the last week or so. It's quite mild inside Stamford Bridge. When you get outside, though, you can certainly feel the chill. Here is Disasi back to his own goalkeeper in Sanchez under pressure from Alvarez. Disasi out by the corner flag now on this near side, Chelsea's right. Manchester City applying the press with Grealish and Bernardo Silva. Conor Gallagher just has to see that long and clear. Mudryk will go on the chase of the loose ball. Vardiol heads it back. Is it a good enough one? Edison will try and bail them out. Hits it against Kyle Walker. Huge appeals of handball. His hands were down by his side. Nothing given. Linesman close to it on this near side as it happened. Anthony Taylor on move. Pochettino has a word in the ear of the fourth official, who will undoubtedly probably tell him that VAR is checking as Alvarez comes forward. Ball scoops up high in the air. It'll not find anybody in a sky blue shirt. Header away by Chelsea. So much to unpack in this game. Here's Bernardo Silva. 3-3 the score. Poor passing field, and Palmer can get hold of the ball, but quick to react is Ruben Diaz. Gets Manchester City flowing again. Diaz still involved in the play after Jack Grealish gave him the ball. Vardiol to Bernardo Silva. Back to Vardiol again.
What a game we've got on our hands. It looked like a handball. If truth be known, I'm looking at Kyle Walker's body language. He was outside the penalty box, so if anything, it's coming back to a free kick to Chelsea outside the box.
Too much play has gone, I think, for it to be called back.
Absolutely.
Here comes City. Even the Chelsea defence has had chance to reset, so the attacking phases have changed. Nothing will be given in that moment of controversy, perhaps. Alvarez, Foden, edge of the penalty area, right at the D. Tried to shape to shoot, tried to get the space to shoot, but there was nothing happening, and then Grealish might be in late, but Chelsea are on the counter-attack. Akanji across, brilliantly timed challenge on Nicholas Jackson. If he mistimed that, Jackson was through. Palmer keeps the ball alive here. 3-3 the score. Gallagher, 30 yards from goal, encouraged to shoot. His shot, most recently spilled by Edison, resulted in Chelsea's equaliser. Here's Mudryk on the far side. Phil Brown.
What commitment from both teams, and I'm talking about a tackle now from Akanji. We've seen the quality with the ball. Chelsea are providing it as much as what Manchester City are, but Akanji's had to go to ground here. If he mistimes the tackle, it's a red card and an opportunity for Chelsea to go 4-3 up.
15 minutes left of this game. Chelsea 3, Manchester City 3. If you're about to go out, if you're about to head home, don't worry, you can take us with you. We're available on BBC Sounds this afternoon anywhere in the UK. You won't miss a moment as Sterling gets the better of Grealish. Sterling edge of the box, uses a chance for Gusto, who hit that over the bar from 6 yards out. A big moment for Chelsea to take the lead. Sterling slides in Gusto, who had the entire of the right-hand side of the box to himself, but it was a right-back finish when they needed a centre-forward most. 3-3 it remains.
It was a right-back finish with his left foot as well. I'm telling you, he will be regretting that day. Hopefully not in terms of the game, because it should have been 4-3 to Chelsea, but Raheem Sterling has been a constant thorn in the side of Manchester City throughout the game, and he continued with a really intelligent reverse pass to Gusto. He's got to put that in the back of the net. He's not even hit the target from 10 yards.
He's now down from the late challenge of Manchester City's Jack Grealish off the ball, I think. Phil Brown.
I think he's after a sympathy vote, having just missed that chance.
Try and get the crowd back on his side, maybe. Physios are on to take care of him. We have 14 minutes left of normal time here. The rain continues to fall. Manchester City and Chelsea have played out a cracker. I cannot think of a game involving Manchester City this end-to-end, this pulsating for a long time.
I think Pep Guardiola's known he's been in a game, and all his time at Manchester City he's been involved in some massive games. He's bringing Kovacic off the bench. I think that's more of a defensive move than anything else, because he knows Chelsea have thrown caution to the wind. And by the way, even thrown caution to the wind, you've still got to have a foothold in the game. You can't just go willy-nilly and let three against three at the back. You've got to throw caution to the wind with a front five, and that's exactly what Chelsea have done. City are bringing Kovacic on to sit beside Rodri, I think. Possibly Alvarez or even Bernardo Silva coming off.
Well, for now, the change is delayed. Pep Guardiola just strolls down, head down, looking around his technical area here. Gusto is back on his feet after his treatment, so will be allowed back on the pitch shortly. Physio's just making sure they're okay. Play restarts away to our right-hand side with Manuel Akanji. Here's Ruben Diaz. Kovacic gets his shirt on. Grealish stands on the left-hand side.
I'll give the ball to Grealish straight away. Gusto's not been allowed on the field of play, and Conor Gallagher's playing right back.
He is filling in, and now here's a chance for Grealish. Two England internationals squaring up against each other. Vardiol. Here's Akanji. Akanji out to the left-hand side, uses Bernardo Silva, fakes one cross, gets into the penalty area, darts to his left-hand side, sends in the delivery, but it's away by Disasi. Comes bouncing away towards this near side. Gusto's back on. Vardiol shields it. It's a throw-in to the Sky Blues of Manchester City. Back to the halfway line they go. Ruben Diaz. Here's Rodri. Turns in the middle of the park. Just gets himself away from Nicholas Jackson and then chips it out to the right-hand side in the pouring rain for Kyle Walker. Rodri has the ball back. He's been wrestled off it by Conor Gallagher with some force, but players continued, and Grealish on the edge of the D can slide it to Bernardo Silva, goes across goal. Block comes in. It's a big one from Gusto, and it's away again by Chelsea, but the respite is temporary. Here's Vardiol, midway inside the Chelsea half, left-hand side. Chelsea 3, Manchester City 3. We've played 78 minutes of this fascinating game. You're a brave person if you are calling it one way or the other right now. Here's Grealish shielding it away from Raheem Sterling. Alvarez is allowed to take over. Grealish shielded it too much from Raheem Sterling as Alvarez got hold of the ball. Didn't allow Sterling to chase Alvarez down, and it's going to be a free kick to Chelsea, and that's the last action involving Julian Alvarez. He's been replaced by Mateo Kovacic, the one-time Chelsea player.
That for me is more of a defensive move. I'm not to say Kovacic is out-and-out defender, but he's going to play alongside. It's looking to me like Rodri. Because of the formation of the midfield three of Chelsea, they've decided to do something about it in a defensive way. They've still got the 4 front runners on, though. You know, Bernardo Silva just goes into the number 10 role now, and he'll be more of a pain in the backside to Chelsea than what he has been.
Mateo Kovacic, who was a second half substitute for Chelsea in the Champions League final against Manchester City in 2021, is now a second half substitute for Manchester City against Chelsea in a game with so much more about it than that Champions League final. It was a really disappointing night in Porto. Not too many chances. Here, we've had chances aplenty, goals aplenty. It's Chelsea 3, Manchester City 3. Here's Kovacic with his first touch. Back he goes to Manuel Akanji, who will see it into the penalty area for Edison. Once more over to the far side for Ruben Diaz.
10 minutes to go, Mike, of normal time plus extras. And if you're going to ask for a winner, I'm not convinced that anybody's done enough to win the game. I think it's been very, very a well thought out battle. But there's still going to be chances in the last 10 minutes. Both sides will have a couple of chances, and it's all about the pressure of being able to take them chances. Both sides have got players on the field of play that can handle the pressure. Who's going to get them?
Who takes their big moment? Maybe it's Chelsea. Jackson forward to the left-hand side he goes. Palmer won't shoot from there. Mudryk is in the box. It's bobbling around a little bit. City get the fortune. Now Gallagher from distance, and that is well seen over the bar by Edison, who hardly even flinched. Goal kick to Manchester City.
I'm hoping I'm going to see something from this Mudryk. I mean, for me, he's came on in a game at Spurs, and he affected the game, but in a petulant way. I want to see the kind of attitude that he comes on in a game like this. He's got an opportunity now to be in a starting lineup for Chelsea in the next game if he can get something on the score sheet in the last 10 minutes. But at the moment, I'm just seeing a huff and puff kind of performance from him.
A couple of injuries have stinted his Chelsea career so far, but the fans are desperate to see something from a man who cost the best part of nearly £89 million. Here is Rodri to send a long ball out to the far side, brilliantly controlled by Phil Foden, who's quickly closed down by the likes of Conor Gallagher and Mudryk. Bernardo Silva. Rodri's just got to watch Palmer coming in from behind, which he does. He must have got the call from his teammates. Bernardo on the far side touchline. Manchester City's right. The sky blue shirts of City from right to left in this second half, attacking the shed end away to our left-hand side, where Manchester City fans are housed on the short bottom tier before the bigger second tier stretches up. You get half of that to the left-hand side of the goal as we look at it from our position. Here is Vardiol, left-hand side, right in front of us, while vantage point is just behind the dugouts here at Stamford Bridge. Roderick clipped on the heels by Conor Gallagher, free kick.
Look at this follow-up as well. I think Rodri wants a little bit of afters, and it was him that was falling to the ground. I think Gallagher was all over him. But I'm just watching Bernardo Silva just going to the middle of the park now. Kovacic is coming as an enforcer to a certain extent. It's allowing Bernardo Silva on the ball, and if he has more touches for City in the last 10 minutes, Chelsea's under pressure.
Here's Diaz down the right looking for Walker. Sliding challenge comes in, but Foden comes out with the ball. It's gone out on the far side for a Chelsea throw. We have 8 minutes left here. Chelsea 3, Manchester City 3.
Don't blink, mate, don't blink, whatever you're doing. I think it's one of them where players are concerned. Who now takes any chances in the final 8 minutes? Who now thinks that if I just take this chance we might go on to win the game, or who's going to settle for the point? And both sides have played a marvellous role in a wonderful, wonderful exhibition of Premier League football.
They most certainly have. It's got to go down as perhaps game of the season so far. Diaz sends it forward. Cucurella gets in before Bernardo Silva. Some questions of a high boot from Bernardo, who didn't know Cucurella was there, but free kick is given to Chelsea with 7 minutes to go. 3-3 the scoreline. Is that one final twist? Go nowhere on BBC Radio Manchester's Total Sport.
You'd be foolish to leave it, mate, wouldn't you? You'd be foolish to leave it in the last 10-15 minutes. Crazy.
Pochettino's thrown the towel in. Literally.
We'll see what he does with it. No, it was just to dry the hair. I've got to say it, the footballing gods have played their part as well. There's been a drizzle all game, and it's just added a little bit of pace to the pitch. It's been absolutely outstanding.
Keeps it nice and greasy. Yeah, Pochettino wipes his rain-sodden hair with that white towel he was handed. Now steps back out onto the edge of his technical area after a quick word with his coaches. The long ball played by Sanchez. Sterling offside. Free kick given. And the Chelsea fans who felt they were in line with that disagreed with the linesman, but decision made.
Good decision as well, in my opinion.
Phil Brown pretty much in line with it as well from our vantage point. Rodri pokes it through. Nice turn by Kovacic. The Stamford Bridge faithful will have seen that many times in their time, but now he does it for Manchester City and sets Grealish in on the left-hand side of the penalty area. Little stall from the England international, who's deciding which way to go. Gets it on his right boot, bends it in back post. It's high. It's over Haaland. He's behind for a goal kick. 3-3.
That's the disappointing part of Jack there, you know. He's always going to come back on his right foot. And of the four wingers that we've seen on the field of play before Jack entered, everyone was going either way. They could go down the left, go down the right, cut inside, have a shot, go to the byline, get a crossing. You know Jack wants to come back on his right foot and cross it to the far post. Look where Erling Haaland was when he crossed the ball. Far post.
As it stands, Manchester City top with 28 points from 12 games. Second place, Liverpool, 27 points from 12 games. Guess what the first game back after the international break is? Manchester City, Liverpool at the Etihad Stadium. Cannot wait for that one already. It is 13 days till we get chance to absorb that. If it's half as good as this, we're in for a thriller as well. Chelsea 3, Manchester City 3 with 5 minutes to go at Stamford Bridge. Here's Kovacic just away from the left corner of the penalty area, goes back to Ruben Diaz. We've got Chukwu going to come on for Chelsea in a moment. Till then, Manchester City on the attack. Foden, right-hand side, just checks back, uses Kyle Walker. A little bit of a slower tempo about Manchester City now as they maintain the possession on the far side of the field there, right. Bernardo Silva, now maybe a change of pace. Foden, into Kovacic, into Haaland, back to Kovacic, low shot, he went for it. Rodri deflects in! Late on, Manchester City might have just won it at Stamford Bridge, and it's the man for the big moments, Rodri, who gets it. Huge deflection, huge slice of luck, but it's Chelsea 3, Manchester City 4.
What a horrible way to lose it if that's going to be the case, but Manchester City were just building up a little bit of momentum in the last 2 or 3 minutes, and they played some wonderful football in and around Chelsea's penalty area. The ball fell to Rodri and he struck it towards the goal. It's took a wicked deflection And if it does cost Chelsea the game, it's a horrible way to lose it, but a great way to win it.
We said about one final twist, we said one final moment. Rodri, Kovacic all involved. It is a massive deflection, I think, of Thiago Silva, the man who got Chelsea level at 1-1, hits the outside of his right boot, sends it the wrong way from which Robert Sanchez was diving. But it's a big moment in a big game in which we have seen so much drama, and there is one final twist, and it's in Manchester City's favour.
What a horrible way to lose it if that's the case, and I'm telling you, one of the legends of the game, not just at Chelsea, in the game of football itself, Thiago Silva. He's just poked his right boot out, and yes, he's got himself a goal with a great header in the first half.
It might get better for City here as Haaland is allowed to go through after Bernardo Silva's flick on from Jack Grealish's ball down the left, but Robert Sanchez quick to react. It was always Haaland up against it from that situation. Chelsea 3, Manchester City 4. 3 minutes of normal time left, and all of the added time to come as well. What a game. I was not quite expecting this. The last 6 games between these sides have all been won by Manchester City. All 4 of those in the Premier League have finished 1-0. City won 2-0 in the League Cup last season, 4-0 in the FA Cup third round. Armando Broja, the striker, is about to come on as well. Chelsea have to go for it now.
Well, it's got to be said, you know, I'm not going to just say I'm crying over spilt milk or told you so, but if anybody was accepting the point, it was going to be Chelsea by the looks of it. City was still pushing and probing, and they had a sort of 2-3 minute spell where they were asking a question in and around the penalty box of Chelsea, and eventually the door opened with a deflection. It's harsh at the moment, but at least Chelsea now got back on the positive side of the game, and it looks like they're going to finish the game strong.
Here's Gallagher, right hand side. It's all in Chelsea's half this at the moment though. Caicedo looks back to his own penalty area. Chelsea 3, Manchester City 4. Still 2 minutes of normal time to go, with Grealish turning into Kovacic. Now Rodri sends it back to his goalkeeper Ederson. Jackson will apply the press for Chelsea. 6 goals for him now in the Premier League, Nicholas Jackson. How he would love to get number 7 right now, but Manchester City are doing enough, and it's Rodri. If anybody can close out a game, it's Manchester City in the way they play with the control. Vardiol down, but Grealish maintains the ball and the possession as he is now fouled. That will be a free kick. Conor Gallagher, the offender. Armando Broja on. He is going to replace Moises Caicedo. Defensive midfielder for attacker. Chelsea know they have to score.
Last minute, last-dish challenge. It's one of them. You know, you last throw the dice in the last 5 minutes of a game where you're expecting to get something from the match. Certainly the second half performance has been good enough from Chelsea, but you know you're going to come up against the quality of Manchester City, and it doesn't matter what minute of the game, you're coming up against that quality right the way through till the end, and City could get another one.
City fans bouncing around for joy. Away to our left-hand side, scarves above the heads. I'm pretty sure I've seen a couple of shirts fly off as well. Suddenly the cold temperatures don't matter. Chelsea 3, Manchester City 4. Here's Kovacic in the centre circle. Rodri forward. Bernardo Silva beaten to the ball by Marc Cucurella. Then Haaland pushes over Conor Gallagher. It's getting a little bit feisty out there. Chelsea free kick as we head into the final 30 seconds of the 90.
Well, they've been pretty and beautiful all game, Manchester City. It's now time to mess it up a wee bit, you know. Even if you just get over the line by a couple of fouls, professional fouls if you want to call them that, you just got to try and upset Chelsea now in the last minutes of the game.
Well, how much added time are we going to get is the next question. I have a feeling, Phil Brown, brace yourselves, the number I'm hearing is right. 8 added minutes. 8 minutes for Manchester City to hold on to their 4-3 lead. Then we're into those 8 now. Chelsea searching for a goal, but at the minute can't get out of their own half. It's another foul by Erling Haaland that just stalls Chelsea going down the far side.
It's not a bad number for the Chelsea contingency, but where Manchester City are concerned, they've got enough fitness in the tanks for to get over the line, no problem at all. They've just got to stay with the game. You still feel like there could be a little twist in this game though.
We've had enough of them already.
Absolutely.
Here's Vardiol on the left hand side, a little twist and turn from him as he faces his goal, then back towards the halfway line. Here's Kovacic. Grealish into Bernardo Silva. Grealish goes over with Bernardo Silva's return pass. Conor Gallagher waved away by the official. Jack Grealish with a huge smile on his face. Almost can't believe there wasn't a booking been there. Manchester City free kick.
It's a rare one, I've got to say it. Conor Gallagher's been involved in a few incidences where 50-50s are concerned. He just got there first, Jack Grealish, didn't he? And you knew he was going to make a meal of it, but that's his job.
Vardiol, as Manchester City are on course for 7 wins in a row against Chelsea since that Champions League final of over 2 years ago now. That disappointment long behind them with the treble success of last season. 4-3 up on Chelsea here as we have 7 minutes just under of added time to go. 8 minutes were shown by the 4th official, Craig Pawson. Here's Palmer in the centre circle. Chelsea left to right in these final few moments. Sterling has space. City's defence sit back. Sterling into Broja. Stalls one shot. Goes down. Penalty Chelsea. Oh, would you believe this? Manchester City thought they might have won it late through Rodri. Broja goes down as he's about to pull the trigger, and Chelsea are awarded a penalty kick. 2 minutes into 8 of stoppage time. They could level it up again.
Well, I've got to say it. I thought it was a penalty when I watched it first time. I don't want to see it second time. I don't want VAR involved. The referee's made a decision. Is it a clear and obvious wrongful decision? No, not at all. It looks to me as if Diaz has come right across the substitute and he's took his standing leg eventually. No doubt in my mind it's the right decision, and what an opportunity. What a bit of pressure on Chelsea now, but to score this equalising goal.
Who wants it? Yeah, Ruben Diaz late on. Broja took his legs out, got none on the ball. The decision is right. In Phil Brown's opinion, in my opinion, we will wait to find out. Now, pressure on. Chelsea penalty from 12 yards to make this game a ridiculous Chelsea 4, Manchester City 4.
I know you want to show people that you're involved. I know you want to show people that you want to win the game, but Chelsea players just need to get away from the penalty spot. The controversy and delay is causing whoever's taking a penalty a big problem.
And what a story, because the man with the ball clutched under his left arm is Cole Palmer, as yellow cards are shown all over the place from Anthony Taylor. We'll dissect those in a moment. Ederson's now involved in a little bit of pushing and shoving away from all that action on the edge of the D. Stood just away from the penalty spot is Cole Palmer.
What a chance, what an equaliser, what a bit of pressure. I mean, people are going up to Cole Palmer. He looks quite calm at the moment, the way he's holding the ball. He just needs to detach himself. It's now down to him versus Ederson whether Chelsea gets something from this game of football.
Cole Palmer scored twice this season for Manchester City. Scored in the Community Shield, he scored in the UEFA Super Cup. Both of those will pale into insignificance here at Stamford Bridge, where he has the chance from 12 yards to put Chelsea level in a thrilling, pulsating, at times ridiculous game of which Chelsea have led, of which Manchester City have led and lead. And now Cole Palmer has it in the palm of his hands to level it up for Chelsea in front of the Chelsea fans away to our right-hand side. It is Palmer, it's in! This game writes scripts that you just could not write. Cole Palmer scores to the left-hand side of the goal. Ederson dives the right way, but it's another sting from another former Manchester City man in this game that blunts the Blues in victory. It's Chelsea 4, Manchester City 4.
Just repaid a huge chunk of that £40 million price tag, because that was a man who had calm written all over him. It was an absolutely fantastic penalty, and I tell you, 3 goalkeepers in the goal wouldn't have saved it. The keeper, he's a big enough unit. Ederson went the right way, even the size of him, the spread. He put enough pace, enough height, enough direction on it to level the game up. What a penalty by Cole Palmer. 4-4.
As if he needed any introduction to this Chelsea crowd. His new club. He wanted game time. He's got game time. It made sense for Manchester City, and Pep Guardiola was asked if he'd ever regret selling players to rival clubs Zinchenko and Jesus at Arsenal, Sterling to Chelsea last year, Palmer to Chelsea this year. He might just regret it now.
I'm not sure about that one, mate. I think, at the end of the day, City have been an absolute pleasure to watch in this game of football. I know Chelsea have contributed, there's no doubt about it, but City are going top of the league with a point. They were going to go 3 points clear, but they're still going top of the league, so I don't think any regrets from Pep Guardiola whatsoever.
There'll be a point clear of Liverpool as it stands heading into the international break. Last time before the international break they lost at Arsenal. This one's slightly better in the capital, as Chelsea aren't done yet perhaps. Broja, Cucurella, fouled by Foden, was he? No. Play goes on. There could there? As Manchester City go down the right-hand side, it's Bernardo Silva into Foden, who's continued his run. The challenge comes in. Free kick given. Sterling in behind Phil Foden, and in bang central position, 25 yards out, Manchester City have a free kick.
Well, there's commitment for you. Raheem Sterling was doing everything he possibly could to try and prevent Manchester City, and more importantly, Phil Foden, who probably has replaced him at Manchester City, to stop him from scoring a goal. And it was a loose, wild challenge. I don't know if he's been yellow carded, but what an opportunity for City to put a fifth goal in from a free kick just outside the box.
Just to fill you in on some other things, in the aftermath of the Chelsea penalty, Nicholas Jackson substituted by Uga Chukwu. He was yellow carded, Nicholas Jackson, as was Jack Grealish in the whole penalty melee once Chelsea were awarded the spot kick. Right, who fancies this then? From 25 yards, Jack Grealish, Kyle Walker, Phil Foden, Ruben Diaz and Bernardo Silva all in and around the ball. There'll be something going on. There'll be a conversation. I don't want this game to end, Phil.
No, I'm the same. And there's two right footers, there's two left footers on the ball. And the little magic men you're talking about, Foden and Silva are on the ball. Grealish is on the ball. I would have suggested Kyle Walker's more like drive as opposed to the other three. He'll be trying to place it in the top corner. But you need calm at this moment, just like the penalty taker about 2 minutes ago.
Well, Walker is the one who's spun the ball. Is he absolutely going to leather this? At the shed end away to our left-hand side. Manchester City free kick, 4-4 the score. We've had 8 minutes of stoppage time. It is Kyle Walker over the bar. And very disappointing from the Manchester City right back in a game that has failed to disappoint thus far.
Well, you're talking about very disappointing. It's literally 6 inches, a foot over the crossbar. You can't say it absolutely stunk of bad quality. There was something about it still. But bottom line is, he still had the nerve to take the free kick in a massively brilliant. I mean, the atmosphere in this stadium's been outstanding for 95, 100 minutes of football. I don't want it to end. I'm exactly the same as you, mate. Keep going.
Well, we've had one of the longest games of the season. 6 minutes at the end of the first half, 8 shown at the end of the second half, and still we play on because in added time was all that penalty drama. So we're past the 8 minutes. It is up to Anthony Taylor now, but I don't think anytime soon we're going to see the whistle. I think we're going past the 100-minute mark here. Chelsea 4, Manchester City 4. Get your calls in now. We're on air till 7 o'clock on 0800 218 2255. Grealish will send it long for Manchester City. That number again, 0800 218 2255. Disasi's misjudged his kick, heads it out for a throw in midway inside the Chelsea half on this near side. Manchester City's left. No one dare sit down from the fans' perspective. They're all on their feet around Stamford Bridge. The whistles will come. Play will continue. Into the 100th minute we go.
Disasi missing the kick, missed kick, and they've never heard so many gasps in a stadium. Not used to that kind of quality.
Palmer, Cucurella, Chelsea on the left-hand side. Easy challenge for Walker on Mudryk. Here's Bernardo Silva. Just carries the ball into his own half for now before spreading the play. But it's intercepted by Sterling before it reaches Vardiol. Sliding challenge comes in from Kovacic. It's a brilliant one. Sterling's rolling round on the floor. Referee will say play on, and Manchester City get to the halfway line. Over it they go. Here's Phil Foden. Pochettino screaming for the foul on Sterling that never came. Cucurella wins the ball on the far side, and the full-time whistle goes at Stamford Bridge. What an afternoon of football we have witnessed here in West London. Nobody could have predicted this level of drama, one that started when Erling Haaland scored midway through the first half of a penalty kick. Chelsea then levelled before taking the lead, and Manuel Akanji levelled on half-time. In the second half, Manchester City came out the traps. It was Haaland again sliding in from close range. Nicholas Jackson got us level again at 3-3. Rodri thought he'd won it with an 86-minute shot with a huge deflection for 4-3, but in stoppage time, Armando Broja fouled by Ruben Diaz, penalty to Chelsea, and the former Manchester City man, Cole Palmer, dispatched to the left-hand side, and that means City head into the international break top, but only by a point. It has finished in the pouring rain of West London. What a game! Chelsea 4, Manchester City 4.
Well, I don't think anybody will have placed a bet reflecting that result, Phil Brown, although I bet they wish they did, because there's a sum of money to be made for that. I mean, goodness me, Mike said in commentary, there's so much to talk about here. We've got until 7 o'clock, so if you'd like to have your say, 0800 218 2255, get your calls in. Pick your talking point from many. But Phil, before we break it down and talk about it, I mean, goodness me, what an incredible game. We hoped for a second half that would match the first, and we got it and then some.
Stacey, it's my job not to be speechless, but I could have quite easily said speechless. It was brilliant, nothing short of brilliant, and I'm telling you, the game of football is in a good place. I know we've been arguing and contesting against VAR and things like that. I've got to say it, the fourth official, the officials, should I say, played a big part in the game and a good part in the game. So get that one out the way. Anthony Taylor, outstanding. Even though Pochettino ran on the field of play and he wanted to get a hold of him at the end of the game because Raheem Sterling had gone down with a head injury, in his opinion. So it finishes with a little bit of controversy, but we're not here to talk about controversy. We're here to talk about absolute quality football from two teams going toe-to-toe with each other and going after each other to win a game of football. I could talk about it long and hard, 8 goals, you name it, but it's nothing short of brilliant.
Certainly can't blame the official for adding on a lot more time. We all wanted to see more of that one. It's just the game that kept on giving. Exhausting for the players, and I think one of the things, Phil, that was so striking is the courage with which they played.
Yeah.
They didn't, as we say, they didn't step backwards like just two boxers going toe-to-toe. They bit down on their gum shield, so to speak, and absolutely went at it in every department.
I thought at 3-3, I thought Chelsea for a moment, just a moment, I'm talking about 3 or 4 minutes on the field of play, I thought at 3-3 Chelsea were almost accepting the point, and with that it's a dangerous place to be when you're playing Manchester City. City took advantage of that, ended up going 4-3 up, but again, you've got to give Pochettino a little bit of credit. He made changes again and went very, very positive, went all out attack, and it's given an example to the rest of the Premier League. If you've got them attack-minded players with quality in the final third, get them on the field of play, because City play with them, you're going to be up against it, but if you can do the same to City are going to concede goals, which they have done today.
Mike, I've no idea how you're going to form your questions for Pep after this, because where to even start? I mean, even the list of goal scorers reads like a school register. It just goes on and on and on. One of the things you mentioned, though, of course, was that Pep and City like to have control. Phil mentioned, particularly when they brought Grealish on, he did appear to be one of the players trying to slow the game down. When they had more control and managed the pace of it a little bit better, it seemed to go in their favour. But in terms of the game itself, incredible. What could City have done any more? It's hard to feel disappointed with either team after that performance.
I don't know how anyone is disappointed with that. In fact, just reading a bit of social media whilst you were talking to Phil, that actually Manchester City fans feel they were lucky to come out with a point. They don't feel they played at their best today. I think that's right. You are right again. In the second half, Grealish comes on, the tempo slows down, but that wasn't a bad thing at the time. Manchester City were leading by 3-2 and needed to slow it down because Chelsea just had that ability all game to nick a ball, and then instantly the energy they had for 100 minutes plus, the energy they had to burst up the field and stretch Manchester City's defence. We've said it for a long time, not just me, not just Phil Brown, plenty of people in the game. Put Manchester City under pressure, put a Pep Guardiola side under pressure, and you will find the benefits. A lot of teams are too scared because going at the other end what Manchester City can create, and we've seen that in this game as well. Early Erling Haaland and the likes, even the corner when Akanji scored. But City can punish you, and that's what teams are scared of because of the quality they have.
Mike, I think what you're saying is absolutely spot on, but you take the consequence. You put City under pressure. You haven't got the quality in the final third. You take the consequence, and that is possibly a 3v3, 4v4 up top against quality players.
Absolutely agree with all of that, and so I think there'll be plenty of what I'm really interested to know, and I don't know whether he'll say it or not, but based on previous experiences speaking to Pep Guardiola and listening to the press conferences, today's game was a basketball game. Usually with Manchester City you get a crick in your neck each half because you're looking just one way as one-way traffic comes in from City. This game was left to right. Well, yeah, it was. I'm going to put a claim in later. Left to right, left to right, left to right. It was really intense, and Pep Guardiola hates that because you don't have that C word again, control. Now today, as a neutral, as a fan, as you sit here in the ground, if you've watched it at home, what a game, and pulsating. It will be everything Pep Guardiola doesn't want in a game, so it'll be really interesting to see what he says in his post-match interviews with the TV media and in the press conference with us slightly later on.
And it's interesting, Phil, isn't it, because we hear, whenever City get beaten, we hear people saying that's the blueprint, this is how you beat them.
Yeah.
And the word pressure is often mentioned, that you have to go at them, but I think you made a great point. If you can't capitalise on that, then you're in big trouble. And again, just to refer to boxing, we have a phrase of intelligent pressure.
Yeah.
Just pressure alone doesn't do it. It has to be with intelligence. What was it that Chelsea brought into today? It wasn't just pressure, was it? From a tactical point of view, what was so intelligent about the way that they went and put the pressure on City?
I think it was a tactical battle. If you go, into a classroom and put the markers on the board when you're doing say you're doing a tactical team talk with the players, you're just doing markers on the board. It's not real life. But when you get real life video footage of what went on today, I think the changes that Pochettino made were intelligent. They were very positive because he'd gone a goal behind. Again, as a coach, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you do. You're damned if you don't. Why didn't you make them changes before you went a goal behind? It's one of them. How much do you give away to a Manchester City team that can carve you in two? They can carve you open at any one given second, let alone minute of the game of football. And City do that on numerous occasions. Listen, Chelsea have conceded 4 as well as Manchester City, but the amount of times I've noticed it was 6 defending, 4 attacking. Then all of a sudden Chelsea went 5 and 5. At the end, Chelsea were going back 4, 6 up front. Let's throw caution to the wind. They get the equalising goal and you take the point. But when you've got that quality behind you, and I'm talking about Thiago Silva, that's got the experience to let fullbacks go, to drive wingers back into their own penalty box if necessary. When you've got that quality, you've got to have support around there, because Thiago Silva can't do it on his own. And I think, there's one or two unsung heroes. Alex Dizazi, he was an unsung hero alongside Thiago Silva, who just held that line, held the togetherness of the team that was attacking at that moment in time, knowing full well that within seconds Erling Haaland's going to have a chance in the 6-yard box. It was just pulsating to watch, and it must have been brilliant to play in. When people talk about players not being, they don't need recovery time, we're playing on Wednesday, we're playing on on Saturday, we've got 3 games this week. After today's game,
we all need it.
Absolutely. It'll take you 48 hours. Stacey, it'll take you 48 hours to calm your brain down.
Absolutely. When the mental and emotional pressure of that, because as you say, a tiny mistake, the margins of error are so fine that the concentration levels, for as Mike says, over 100 minutes in itself, but then the sheer emotional roller coaster of going ahead, then them pulling one back, just absolutely incredible.
Stacey, when you said biting on a gum shield, it got my attention straight away. I've never been in a boxing ring. I've never been as brave enough as you to get in a boxing ring. When you said bite on the gum shield, wow, there's a punch coming. That there's something coming. You've got to stand up to that, and you've got to be able to get off the canvas. If it hasn't knocked you down, you've got to wait for the next one. And it was like that today. It was absolutely breathtaking. Couldn't take my eyes off it.
It was pretty incredible. Well, let's see what the fans have to say. Let's start with Helen. Goodness me, Helen, I hope you've got your breath back after that one and your heart rate's come down. That is what we all love about sport, isn't it? It had everything: unpredictability, raw emotion, twists and turns, just phenomenal.
Absolutely. What a brilliant game of football. Not quite the result we wanted. It would have been great to have won 4-3, but there you go. Great game.
Did you think, you've got to have thought when you went ahead 4-3 with just a few minutes to go with that man Rodri popping up again, you must have thought it was done and dusted?
Well, if you've been a Manchester City fan for as long as I have, you never quite know. You never believe it till the final whistle has been blown, trust me.
I just want to ask you as well, Helen, what you thought in terms of key players. I mean, it'd be almost impossible to pick just a couple out, but who in particular impressed you? I mean, Phil had mentioned the wingers on both sides making it such an entertaining game. Who impressed you for City today?
For City, it's got to be Phil and Bernardo, really. They're just so consistently good, and they work so hard. You know, that passion and commitment, I just admire that so much in them, in both of them.
Yeah, difficult to pick players out, Phil, but Phil Foden and Bernardo Silva, what in particular did they bring today?
Oh, they were outstanding, really they were. They just got into pockets of space, and when you've got no space out there, how do you find a pocket of space? You know, you've got to go into areas where people don't expect you to be, you know, and all of a sudden you pop up in there and they think, well, where's he come from? City's movement is just brilliant. When you've got 100% confidence in possession, when you move, you know you're going to get the ball, so you go into any area of the field of play, you're going to get it.
Helen, we heard Pep Guardiola say that it's something that, you know, a mark of a very good and confident club if you can sell some of your best players to your rivals. Are you feeling that way now?
Yeah, I mean, one of our own. Yeah, Cole Palmer, I mean, he had to make the decision, didn't he, for his own career. So he's got to do what's right for him, but gutting really for us as a club to lose a young player like that, really. But, you know, trust in Pep, that's what we do.
Absolutely, and he certainly showed some composure. Helen, thank you so much for joining us on Total Sport.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it. Steve,
nice to chat to you.
Thank you, Helen. Hi, Steve.
Hello.
Right, goodness me, so much to break down, wasn't there? Let's get your thoughts first on what was an absolutely scintillating game of football. Entertainment at its finest.
It was mad, absolutely mad. I thought first half, I didn't think City were particularly played very well at all. Thought defensively we were a bit shaky, but second half was a lot better.
What was it you thought they did better in the second half, particular, Steve?
I don't think, from memory, they created as many chances, but I don't know really. I just thought we defended a lot better in the second half.
Right, let's bring Phil Brown in then. I mean, for a start, do you think City were better in the second half, Phil, and particularly defensively?
Steve, I've got to disagree with you. I thought the first half, I thought the second half, I thought, honestly, I wish they could have played at half time as well, you know, because I didn't want them to go in. I didn't want them to go into the tunnel. No, I thought the first half. I thought the first half they traded blow after blow. You know, City scored, they scored. You know, they go 2-1 up, City equalised. Yeah. All of that was like, oh, this is a good game of football. Was it going to be as good in the second half? It became better. Yeah. It became better, but you can't criticise City for the performance in the first half. I thought they were outstanding.
Do you know what I think as well is that we as City fans are so used to controlling the whole of the game.
Yeah. Fair comment.
And we didn't do it today. I think that's probably what I'm saying, rather than defensively. We conceded a lot of chances today to Chelsea. Which means to me that defensively we weren't that good.
I think where Chelsea's concerned, I think there's a lot of people are disrespecting them. I think they're underestimating them. I think they beat Spurs.
Gosh, yeah, they played very, very well.
Yeah, they're 10th in the table now. We always look at tables, don't we, after games. They're 10th in the table going into an international break. They've got every chance of getting into the top 6. That's what Chelsea do. But if you go 4-1 at Spurs, you go 2-0 up in the 80th minute against Arsenal, they've got a decent side, and when you get this whole crowd going, wow, what a game of football.
We've got a tweet here as well.
It was a good game. For a neutral, it was a great game of football.
Absolutely was. Steve,
I'm not sure it was a great game for City fans sat at home here.
It was. Well, Steve, we've got a tweet here from Nigel Newton who says, every time we play a team that have been bobbins all season, they suddenly turn up. I suppose we should take it as a
crime. Brazil.
But that's the point, Steve, though, isn't it? That for every other team, City are the target. You do have a target on your back because they've consistently been so good. That's going to happen, isn't it? That they, at least do the best to show up and give everything because you're the team to beat, are you not?
We are the team to beat, best team in the world.
Right, Steve, we couldn't finish on a bigger high than that, could we? So thank you so much for being with us. John, good evening.
Good evening.
Best team in the world, John?
Oh, absolutely. By an absolute mile.
Go on then, tell us why.
Well, that's what we think anyway. Well,
you have the floor.
I'll go off
you can
today.
Put your case forward.
What an absolute spectacle game today. Oh, amazing game.
Great advert for the Premier League as well, John, isn't it? Because there'll be
definitely,
globally
definitely.
That will have had it grabbed everybody's intrigue, won't it? And they'd more than delivered.
Yeah, definitely. The TV companies will love it. But at the end of the day, Chelsea played well today, and we were up to scratch, and that's how it ended 4-4, and that's how we both deserved the draw. Simple as. Our defence today, not up to scratch. I'm not going to name any names, but they're all in defence and they're all a team, so they all just play together. And so some individuals weren't that good, but we conceded a lot of chances, and it's not like us normally.
I think that's the thing, isn't it, Phil? There seemed to be that lack of the word control that City prefer. It's the way they like to play. They like to, to dominate proceedings in that regard and manage games, let's say, regardless of the situation that they're in. They, go through the gears if they need to. Today, that didn't seem to happen. However, you don't always get what you deserve one way or the other in sport. But today it did seem, given the way that both teams played today, that a draw was a fair, dare we say, result.
Well, John said both teams deserved a point. I'll put it in a different way. Neither team deserved to lose, and it's a sort of an empathetic way of looking at it from a neutral point of view, as it were. Don't get me wrong, I was in the Northwest for a long period of time. Manchester City is still, you're in Manchester, it's still party at home, you're still looking at results. I still look at United results, I still look at City results. And when I watch today, I come to London and I know this place can be a real tough gig, going to Chelsea, Stamford Bridge. But when you've got the players that City can boast, first half, second half, coming off the bench, the manager, tactician, brilliance, all of that kind of stuff, you expect City to come in and bring that A game to the table. They did. But neither team brought that A defensive game to the table. Both sides wanted to entertain, both sides wanted to score goals, both sides wanted something from the game, and we got all of that.
Still top of the table, John, going into the international break. Are you pretty happy, would you say, with where you are right now?
Oh, exactly, definitely. Like I say, top of the league, what more could we ask for? We just need to keep it going, get a bit more consistent. But I don't know what it is, but whenever the international break comes along, we always seem to, the last game before the international break, we always seem to just drop off a little bit. I don't know whether it's in the players' minds that they're going on the internationals and they don't want to get injured, things like that. But
John, if this was dropping off, I'd like to see him at full tilt.
I was going to say they might not have been perfect in their execution, but goodness me, talk about effort. That was pretty phenomenal stuff. John, you're a hard taskmaster, but thank you very much for joining us on Total Sport. Let's say hello to Kane now. Good evening, Kane.
Hello, you alright?
I certainly am. We've got a couple of tweets here. One from Manish, who says pure entertainment. One from Dan, who says game of the season, absolute carnage. Your thoughts, Kane?
When watching the game, it was just pure frustration, because I feel like even though we didn't play the best, we probably still could have gone on to get a couple more because we had a few good opportunities. But looking back now, it's probably the game of the season and the most mental game since probably we beat Villa 3-2 end of the season to win the league.
Yeah, that certainly was a cracker. And this is the interesting thing. Some City fans saying we're just glad that we managed to get the draw. Been a City fan a long time. Even when we were ahead on 85 minutes, we never took it for granted. And then others saying we could have done so much more. Kane, overall though, happy with their performance today, given how well Chelsea played and where you're at going into the break?
For me, I feel like we missed a few players. Like Stones has just gone out injured. I feel like we're still missing De Bruyne, like obviously magic touch in midfield. But other than that, to say we were behind at one point, I'm happy that we've managed to come back, get it to an even playing field and end up with a draw. Obviously a tough ground to go to despite how inconsistent Chelsea are at the moment.
Yeah, they've still got top players, of course, haven't they? When they all gel together as they did today, it makes for pretty entertaining stuff and stiff opposition. Kane, thank you so much for joining us on Total Sport. Much appreciated. Of course, one of the goal scorers today was that man Rodri. We can hear from him now.
Incredible game. Big credit for them today because I think they were superb. We won in our best shape today, to be honest, individually. I think we were a bit... we committed... some mistakes we're not used to do, and this caused us goals. We conceded 4, but on the other hand, we never lose the face of the game, and we were very, very close to win it.
There were so many opportunities for both sides in the game. When you have this incredible habit of scoring very, very important goals, you must have thought that was going to be another winning goal.
Yeah, it's a bit, because we scored late but at the end now football has changed. I mean, 8 minutes of added time is like, I don't know, it's another 12 minutes, so it's a massive far from what we used to do. So still long way to, even if you score in the 90, you have 10 more minutes. So we don't think much on that, but on the other hand, we were close.
We'll get your thoughts on that in just a second, Phil. Of course, it's like anything. If it goes in your favour, you're in favour of it. If not, then, it frustrates you. A couple of tweets. Sam says, Ruben, Vardiol and Rodri seem below par today. Bad performances will happen. We have the international break now and we'll go again against Liverpool. Becky says, lucky to get a draw out of that. Dodgy penalty and a deflection. Whichever way you look at it, I just feel like you can't be disappointed because what an incredible game. And I know for the players it was exhausting. I'm glad we got to see more of it, Phil. It was just phenomenal from every single player on the pitch today from both sides.
Well, I think it was the first caller there. He just said 8 minutes can sometimes, or it was Rodri. He said 8 minutes can sometimes be a little bit longer than 8 minutes. Well, I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. Whether it's 10 minutes at half time, 8 minutes at the end of the game. When you're gifted that kind of spectacle out there, you don't want it to finish. And I'm not just joking where that's concerned. You want the teams to come out and maybe play another 3:45s, whatever it is. You want the crowd to stay here. You want to be entertained. You want the commitment that both teams showed. And it was committed to the world of football. It was committed to the game. It was committed to winning. And unfortunately, neither side did. But from, as I say, a neutral standing watching it, Premier League football's in a good place.
I don't think either manager can be disappointed given everything that their players gave either. I mean, those are the games that as a player, manager maybe not so much, bit nail biting, but as a player you definitely always want to be involved in because that will be remembered for all the right reasons for a very, very long time to come. Phil, what an exhausting weekend you've had. What a great way to finish it. As a pleasure, always lovely to have you with us on BBC Radio Manchester. You can go and have a well-earned break now yourself.
Thank you very much, Stacey. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks very much. Phil Brown there, former Premier League player and ex-Bolton man, who was alongside Mike Maine for your commentary today. Well, pretty incredible. Haaland hadn't scored against Chelsea before today and then managed to get 2, and no current Chelsea player in the squad had scored for Chelsea against City until today. So all of the stats were changed. And that's just about all from us today on Total Sport. So thank you for joining us. A disappointing loss for City women in the WSL, followed by one of the most exciting games you will ever see in the Premier League as City drew 4-4 with Chelsea.
Total Sport.
Action replay.
BBC Radio Manchester.
Pressure on, Erling Haaland away to our right-hand side, who places the ball down, 2 strides away, runs up to it, scores, and Manchester City lead at Stamford Bridge. Gallagher outswinging delivery. Oh, he's posted it! Chelsea have equalised. Enzo Fernandez rushes over to the far side to celebrate. Here's Palmer as Chelsea go forward again, uses the overlap of Reece James. He's into the penalty area, puts it right across. Chelsea have scored. It's the former Manchester City man, Raheem Sterling, with the goal. Kanji, 2-2. It's the perfect end to the first half for Manchester City. Foden lets Alvarez go on the overlap. He puts it across and Haaland can see it home. And Manchester City have taken less than 2 minutes pace at the start of this second half to get going. Gallagher, low shot, saved by Edison. Where's the rebound? Jackson pokes it home. And there's huge appeals for offside that never come, and Chelsea do have their equaliser. Rodri deflects in. Late on, Manchester City might have just won it at Stamford Bridge, and it's the man for the big moments, Rodri, who gets it. It is Palmer. It's in. This game writes scripts that you just could not write. Cole Palmer scores to the left-hand side of the goal. Edison dives the right way, but it's another sting from another former Manchester City man in this game that blunts the Blues in victory. It's Chelsea 4, Manchester City 4.
Action replay.
Total Sport.
BBC Radio Manchester.
On the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker,
play BBC Radio Manchester,
and on your radio.
The sound of Manchester is
BBC Radio Manchester.
At 7 with the BBC News, I'm Anna Preston. The Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, has called for further action to tackle anti-Semitism after what she called sick and clearly criminal chants that took place at a pro-Palestinian demonstration in London. She also praised the professionalism of the police, having previously accused them of being biased towards those rallying in support of a ceasefire in Gaza. Our political correspondent Helen Katz says Mrs Braverman had doubled down on her position.
She does thank the police and says it was an outrage that multiple officers had been injured doing their duty. It is notable, I think, that most of her words were reserved still for the pro-Palestine marches, and some of the language that she uses about that. She is clearly not stepping back for that, this urging of further action. Very little in there, actually, by way of condemnation for the far-right protesters.
Scotland Yard says 7 people have been charged with various offences after yesterday's unrest in London. It says a total of 145 people were arrested, mostly far-right counter-protesters. Ceremonies have been held across the country to mark Remembrance Sunday. The King joined other members of the royal family and senior politicians for the National Service of Remembrance at the Cenotaph in central London. In Rochdale, people gathered at one of the oldest cenotaphs in the country, which was recently vandalised with Free Palestine graffiti. Reverend Margaret Smith is the chaplain for Rochdale Town Centre.
These people died here because they were fighting for peace and for unity between different nations, cultures and societies. It's as much to remember that today as anything else.
The Metropolitan Police says it's arrested 25 Just Stop Oil activists after they blocked a road in North London. The group said they were calling for the government to stop granting new licences to drill for oil and gas. An investigation's underway into what caused a huge waste fire in Nottinghamshire. Crews were called to an industrial waste site in Newark yesterday. At its height, 200 tonnes of recycled plastic was on fire. Hindus, Sikhs and Jains are celebrating Diwali today and the Hindu New Year. In Birmingham, people from the local community and beyond came to the iconic Shri Swami Narayan Mandir to experience the vibrancy of the Festival of Light.
So I've came, know very little, just as a festival of light, but it's just with my family.
It's the Light Festival, so it's like let your light shine, because it's this festival of light.
It's an auspicious day, so we just come to give the blessing from the gods.
In football, Liverpool have gone second in the Premier League by beating Brentford 3-0 at Anfield. Manchester City and Chelsea drew 4-4 at Stamford Bridge. There were also wins for Aston Villa and West Ham. It's 7:03.
Indus with Talat Faruqa 1
on BBC Radio Manchester and BBC Radio Lancashire.